get congressional approval to officially abolish the department. Cleanup is underway after a strong series of storms moved through the Chicago area. The National Weather Service confirms an EF1 tornado touchdown in Gary, Indiana. The powerful twister damaged homes, uprooted utility poles, and left live power lines on the ground. This report is sponsored by Blindster.com. What if they can guarantee the price of Bitcoin will be $1 million in 2030? Well, they can't, but they can guarantee you'll save a lot of money on blinds at their company. Blindster.com, free samples, free shipping, and guaranteed to fit. Shop at Blindster.com today. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
And splashdown. Crew 9 back on Earth.
The news cycle.
The Dragon spacecraft splashdown in the Gulf of America
is speeding up.
I think you and 9 other Democrats caved.
I'm the best leader for the Senate. We're moving forward.
And it's more important than ever to keep up.
I think we found now 14 magic money computers, which can just make money out of thin air.
The gunshot that was fired into one of the Tesla vehicles.
Trump spent 2 hours on the phone with Vlad.
On the air, on your phone, or online.
The president will then determine what the next steps are.
Keep it right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Did you know that AM 560 Radio has a full-service digital marketing division called Salem Surround? If you're a business decision maker, listen up. AM 560 listeners are everywhere your potential audience is. So are our incredible targeting capabilities. We localize digital marketing and put it within reach of every business, small and large, in Chicagoland and beyond. Salem Surround offers AI-powered marketing solutions that reach your ideal audience. Whether or not you tap into the proven live, local, and emotional connection that AM 560 Radio brings, Salem Surround offers a total marketing solution to our partners. All-in-one digital solutions that provide targeted local digital and social media ads, Google AdWords management, website services, video strategy, search optimization, and even a management dashboard to offer you total campaign updates and transparency. Your Salem Surround representative is located right here in Chicago. Experience the Salem Surround digital revolution today. Call 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951.
Filet mignon isn't as cheap as chopped steak, and you can't buy a yacht for the same price as a dinghy. But while they last, you can buy high-end Beautyrest Black and Sealy Posturepedic mattresses for nowhere near high-end prices. Hasseless Mattress is clearing out a handful of premium floor models. These are the best of the best, and now you can get them for way less. Like a Beautyrest Black LX Hybrid was $3,599, but now it's just $971. Or a Sealy Posturepedic Golden Acres Pillow Top was $1,093, but the floor model is just $546. Visit any employee-free, hassleless showroom and test your favorite floor model without salespeople breathing down your neck. You won't find these mattresses priced this low anywhere else. It's like buying a Lamborghini for $10,000 just because it sat on the showroom floor. Only a few floor models are available at each Hasseless mattress location, and when they're gone for good. Find your employee-free Chicagoland showroom at Hasseless.com.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Waking up, it's already 53 minutes on the Kennedy outbound from downtown out to O'Hare. Through that work zone, solid delays from Fullerton to Irving Park. Crash in Crest Hill on US 30 at Caton Farm Road. Intersection's going to be blocked for a while. Accident investigation there. Lake County, a water main break. This is on US 6 southbound just after I-80-94. That roadway is going to be blocked off till sometime after 11 this morning. Traffic is a service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners with the best rates and service. Let Team Hochberg help you by visiting 56david.com or call 855-563-2843. That's 56david.com. Equal housing lender and MLS 1124061. Reporting today from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Joanne Jeanette.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Some sunshine giving way to clouds, windy and not as cool today, high 59. Clouds and breezy, rain or snow shower tonight, low 31. A sunny, cool day tomorrow, the high 44. And then a shower or two on Sunday, breezy with the high at 49. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Be prepared for tax changes in 2025. Without a solid strategy, you could risk losing more of your hard-earned savings than necessary. VestGen Wealth Partners can help develop proactive tax plans designed to help keep more money in your pockets. Visit GetRetiredStayRetired.com for a free review.
Advisory services offered through VestGen Advisors, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Private Client Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Private Client Services and VestGen Advisors, LLC are unaffiliated entities. Any information discussed does not constitute investment advice. VestGen Advisors and Private Client Services do not offer tax legal advice.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. The American left has embraced the cause of 26-year-old Mahmoud Khalil, the legal permanent resident who led the pro-Hamas activism at Columbia University. The left seems shocked that the Trump administration would want Khalil deported, but it's only common sense. Khalil is an outspoken Hamas sympathizer, and Hamas is a terrorist group. Any permanent resident can be deported if the State Department has grounds to believe his presence or activity has serious adverse foreign policy consequences. A Hamas sympathizer who incites wild protests on an American campus most certainly fits the bill. The American left continues to decry the supposed abridgment of Khalil's First Amendment rights. 5 years after their enthusiastic support for censoring fellow Americans who questioned the official COVID narrative, their tender concern for a terrorist sympathizer's speech rights defies belief. Good riddance to Mahmoud Khalil.
Struggling with arthritis, back pain, or sore muscles? Get fast, long-lasting relief with Ken's Pain Relief. Ken's Pain Relief is a powerful doctor-recommended roll-on that cools, soothes, and relieves pain in minutes so you can get back to doing what you love. Made in the USA, Ken's Pain Relief is safe, effective, and backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. Try it today. Order now at kenspainrelief.com or call 800-898-3755. That's kenspainrelief.com or call 800-898-3755. Don't let pain slow you down.
Come on with this, people. Move it!
Did you really think you could make that company deliver yourself?
Oh, I cannot handle any more traffic.
You could be getting much more done at your place of business.
I've wasted 45 minutes and now this place is gonna close.
Time is money. Let Quick Delivery Service take on the traffic hassle for you. They'll deliver almost anything, from large pallets of materials to important documents, or both. No forms, no labels, no scanning. Just tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going, they'll pick it up, and get it to your destination quickly. Your cargo delivery is tracked in real time with GPS. Notifications are delivered right to your inbox. Visit QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. Or you can deliver like this.
Seriously, another train?
Or get your delivery there on time with QuickDelivery.com. Or call 847-534-2244. 847-534-2244.
Empowering independence in every corner of your home is why Lang Home Medical Equipment exists. If you're a caregiver of an aging parent, grandparent, or loved one, keeping them at home is one of the biggest blessings that you can provide. From mobility equipment to essential home modifications, Lang Home Medical Equipment has the products and services you need to enhance their quality of life. Whether your loved one has been in an accident, or you need a temporary solution, or they've come to live with you, so integrating a more permanent arrangement is necessary, it's all possible. Lang Home Medical Equipment's highly trained staff understands the stresses that can be involved with caring for a loved one and will truly listen to your challenges and offer innovative, safe, and cost-effective, high-quality products and services, including stair lifts, vehicle lifts, scooters, accessibility ramps, and much more. To learn more about how to enhance your loved one's quality of life, Lang Home Medical Equipment offers free in-home consultations. You can also visit them at either of their 2 Chicagoland showrooms or at langhme.com. That's Lang, LANGHME.com. You never want to miss one of life's most important moments. A graduation, a birthday, a first communion, a wedding. When these moments happen, you want to make sure to capture them so that you and your loved ones can remember them for years to come. For over 30 years, families have relied on Tom Kaloran Photography to capture important life moments. This locally owned family business can provide the solutions you need for your important event photography, from weddings and birthdays to class reunions and golf outings. No matter the size or scope, Tom Kaloran Photography will make sure you have lasting memories to share for years to come. Tom Kaloran Photography is also the official photographer for AM 560 The Answer. To learn more and to see their portfolio, just visit KaloranPhotography.com. That's KILLORAN photography.com. Or call them at 708-361-0025. Tom Kaloran Photography. capturing important life moments for over 30 years. Replacing windows in the winter may seem counterintuitive, but the fact is, it's a great time to really feel the difference of high-performance windows from Valdecas.
When it's time to consider new windows, siding, and doors for your home, you need to look no further. Sebastian Gorka here to tell you about Valdecas. Valdecas has been the trusted name chosen by thousands of homeowners, and they should be your number one choice too. But what's really behind the name Valdecas? Over 25 years of a team dedicated to providing you with the best customer service experience and products that truly bring value to your home. They are a Pella Platinum Elite Status certified contractor for a reason. They have an A+ rating with the BBB, as well as high ratings and positive reviews on both Google and Houzz. Schedule your free in-house consultation at Valdecas.com.
Ask about exclusive manufacturer warranties and the Valdecas 10-year workmanship guarantee.
Don't wait. Book today at Valdecas.com. For the best in class, it's Valdecas.
Did you know that AM 560 Radio has a full-service digital marketing division called Salem Surround? If you're a business decision maker, listen up. AM 560 listeners are everywhere your potential audience is. So are our incredible targeting capabilities. We localize digital marketing and put it within reach of every business, small and large, in Chicagoland and beyond. Salem Surround offers AI-powered marketing solutions that reach your ideal audience. Whether or not you tap into the proven live, local, and emotional connection that AM 560 Radio brings, Salem Surround offers a total marketing solution to our partners. All-in-one digital solutions that provide targeted local digital and social media ads, Google AdWords management, website services, video strategy, search optimization, and even a management dashboard to offer you total campaign updates and transparency. Your Salem Surround representative is located right here in Chicago. Experience the Salem Surround digital revolution today. Call 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
AM 560 listeners, sign up today to receive a free financial education video series, The 5 Retirement Pitfalls and How to Avoid Them, courtesy of Steve Shyman, host of Protecting Your Assets radio show, Saturdays at 8 a.m. Sign up is easy, and the 5-part video series is completely free and will arrive in your email inbox. Sign up today. It's free. Please text your name and email address to 833-945-7283. Again, please text your name and email address to 833-945-7283.
Spring, a time to get outside, be active, play with the grandkids, enjoy life. But if high blood pressure is holding you back, the sooner you get control of it, the sooner you'll stop being a walking time bomb. High blood pressure is a serious issue. Your blood vessels are constricted, your mortality risk is high. So what can you do besides take medications with side effects? Well, there's a delicious juice that can help bring your numbers back down. It's called 120 Life, and it has natural ingredients that have shown to lower blood pressure. Yes, a superfood juice is showing amazing results for high blood pressure without the side effects of big pharma medication. Try 120 Life risk-free now with a 2-week trial pack. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now. That's 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout for 15% off.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combines heritage and innovation in every cup. Our coffee is locally roasted, hot air roasted, and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Whether you prefer a 12-ounce bag or a 28-ounce bag, or even the convenience of K-Cups, you'll find Papa Nicholas Coffee at your local retailer. Taste the difference that 5 generations of expertise brings. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee, because great coffee is our family tradition. Visit online at papanicholas.com. That's papanicholas.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So yesterday, Trump moved in a direction he's been moving just about from the time that he was inaugurated. And that is to, I mean, obviously the Doge direction generally, but the Department of Education specifically, to do something that has been on conservatives' to-do list for generations, basically dating back to shortly after Carter created the Department of Education, which is to eliminate the Department of Education. It started with Reagan proposing to do so before it got out of hand. Well, it got out of hand, but here we are some 4.5 decades later, and we're on the cusp of an elimination in pertinent part. Now, it can't be completely done by executive order, but Trump's executive order was to direct the secretary, that would be Linda McMahon, to take all necessary steps to begin the wind down of the Department of Education. And for those who are engaged in a little bit of Chicken Littleism about some of the funding of the Department of Education that does have value. Why does it have value? Because it funds individuals and it provides choice. I'm talking about funds for people with special needs, as well as Pell Grants at the federal level. Trump addressed that.
If you look at the Pell Grants, it's supposed to be a very good program, Title I funding and resources for children with special disabilities and special needs. They're going to be preserved in full.
Yeah, they'll just be distributed in a different way. But it is interesting thinking about those funds. Those are funds that essentially are tied to the individual. You can take Pell Grant dollars and go to any college in the country. But what we're not going to do, or what we're going to begin to reduce to do, is just fund bureaucracies. Thus the move a couple of weeks back to begin reducing the headcount Department of Education by half. The reaction from the resistance in Illinois, starting with Jelly Belly, who's out on his ironically entitled Stand Up for Illinois tour. Here was Pritzker yesterday.
Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and the Republicans in Congress are taking a chainsaw to health care and education and veterans services and infrastructure.
Mm-hmm. You'll note something in the responses from the leaders of the resistance in Illinois. The attacks are always general, because they don't hold up under scrutiny when they become specific. So the same thing with Lauren Underwood. Congratulations, West Suburban Chicago.
I know that people here in Illinois 14 are deeply concerned about these threats, these cuts, this executive order, and I am asking for your help in just picking any 3 House Republicans and giving them a call.
Oh, giving them a call is nice. I thought she was going to say firebombing their offices.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Our text line is also up and running this morning.
And, of course, we heard from Raja.
Raja.
Krish Maruthi is perhaps, and this is saying something, perhaps the most disingenuous member of the Illinois congressional delegation. This is a guy, and I know because we have some mutual friends. Yeah. This is a guy who knows what he is saying is untrue, but he's saying it anyway because political positioning.
Sick.
He absolutely knows it. And it's
the worst
always
kind of politician.
It is always the reheated talking points of the left, the kind of stuff you've been hearing for generations because it's been working for generations. So why would they stop? Why would somebody whose only ambition is their own personal aggrandizement, why would they stop?
We hurt businesses, we hurt communities, we hurt the economy, and then we send the wrong message to the rest of the world and Americans about our priorities. We should be investing in education. We should be investing in our competitiveness.
Mm-hmm. God, that sounds so good.
Genuine, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It sounds so good. We should do things that are good and not do things that are bad. Investing is good. Education is good. So that means we should spend, in a profligate way, $3 trillion on education to achieve nothing. And in fact, to $3 trillion of other people's money in a counterproductive way to fund bureaucracies and jobs at the expense, actually, of advancing the quality of education in this country. Not that it's primarily the Department of Education's job, but that $3 trillion, the opportunity cost of it.
Yeah.
Not to mention that it sustains Soviet-style systems, helps sustain Soviet-style systems at the state and local levels that have destroyed K through 12 education and relegated generation after generation of children to permanent second-class citizen status because they don't even have an opportunity to earn a quality education that will allow them to compete in 21st century America. And all you have to do is look around Chicagoland to see the ravages I'm describing.
Right. And didn't President Carter create the Department of Education as a way of saying thank you to the unions? I remember
everything that the left does is thank you to the unions.
Well, but Trump yesterday, President Trump, appreciates teachers and said this is not about you.
Teachers, to me, are among the most important people in this country, and we're going to take care of our teachers. And I don't care if they're in the union or not in the union. That doesn't matter. But we're going to take care of our teachers, and I believe the states will take actually better care of them than they are taken care of right now.
Okay. Again, I wish it would just keep it simple. I mean, I know you have to be empathetic in the direction of favored constituencies or sacrosanct professions. You know what? Here's the bottom line. We spent $3 trillion over the last 45 years, and what did we get for it? Give me all the sophistry about investment and teachers, and what did we get for it? How could we have spent $3 trillion worse would be an interesting sociological experiment. We have moved backwards in the quality of students coming out of government K through 12 schools. And a lot of private schools, too, by the way. And that's just at the federal level. And now we're going to, unfortunately, the path of least resistance is to drop ship a lot of these funds to the state and local level for them to spend. And then we have our laboratories of democracy. Some states are going to do great things with it and provide more families with choice. And some states, named Illinois, California, New York, are going to continue to fund bureaucracies at the local level that they're already funding because that's their mind's eye to education.
Yeah, it's not going to go to the children.
Fund the system. Do not provide purchasing power for the actual families in the system to make the best choices for their kids.
Well, I love it because Brandy Weingarten, who makes $560,000 a year, doesn't have children, locked our kids in their houses for, 2 years? She was on CNN and talking, basically she made Trump's point.
the federal education role is limited. There's no, except for, the Department of Defense schools, which are not run from the Department of Education, or the Bureau of Indian Affairs schools that are not run by the Department of Education. It doesn't control any schools. In fact, it's the states that control schools. So if President Trump doesn't like what's happening in education, it's the states and local school boards that do it.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, okay, you seem to be supporting his position of
so
giving
then
it back to the states.
Then why do we need a federal bureaucracy to just provide a funnel for funds? We shouldn't be spending the money at all. We should be defunding effectively these Soviet-style systems and provide the money, but provide the money with strictures. Provide the tax dollars with strictures. So you're not funding CPS in its current form. And so many suburban school districts, too, by the way. U46 in its current form. The only way you change a system is to change the way the money flows and who has spending authority. So that's the conversation we should be having, not this, even as I'm happy as I am as Trump is moving in this direction, and it takes political courage to do so. I wish we'd get down to the brass tacks here. For example, in Illinois, as we talked to Ted Dabrowski earlier this week, wirepoints.org has the numbers. Invest in education. We need to invest in education, says Raja. In the last 24 years, Illinois has increased K through 12 government school spending, real dollars, by $44 billion.
Oh, my gosh.
Even though student enrollment is stagnant. And where are reading and math proficiencies in 2024 as compared to 2000?
Do tell.
Unchanged.
Yeah.
The percentage of 4th and 8th graders statewide scoring proficient on reading, for example. 2003, it was 31% of 4th graders and 35% of 8th graders proficient in reading in Illinois. 2024, it's 30% of 4th graders and 33% of 8th graders proficient in reading. We've spent $44 billion over the last 2 decades in Illinois, combined federal, state, and local, and the reading proficiency for 8th graders has declined. Do you not care about return on investment? Do you not care about the actual abilities these kids are coming out of school with, going into the real world with? Those would be interesting conversations. Joe in Naperville.
The thing that I'm so upset about with these press conferences is why isn't somebody asking Pritzker, okay, take a scalpel instead of a chainsaw? You have the scalpel, Mr. Pritzker. Give me 2 names of things that you would cut today. There's never any pushback. It's always give me more, give me more.
Right. And the response would be some sort of, again, generic response about, look, I'm all for eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse, but we have to do it in a way that doesn't cut muscle. We need to cut fat, not muscle. And there'd be all kinds of other metaphors and silliness because they don't have a clue and they don't care to have a clue. Because there's no cost that's been imposed on them for not having a clue, for just invest in education, kids' future. I love teachers. I love schools. Education good. So they talk like cavemen and get reelected.
Oh my! And then today his Stand Up for Illinois tour takes him to Rockford, where he's going to celebrate public transportation expansions. And then he's going to head on over to Peoria for something.
At 5:38, Crockett of the 2028 Tubbs and Crockett ticket has a birthday wish. Her birthday, fake Alashes Spice, Jasmine Crockett's right around the corner, and she's got a birthday wish from all of her fans out there at 5:38.
Oh, my gosh, because you love to celebrate birthdays. And then Cori Bush is back in the news. We'll tell you why. But now let's head into the newsroom. Nikki Whaley is here.
Good morning. It's 31 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Top Democrats are urging the Trump administration to reverse course on its plan to eliminate the Department of Education. On Thursday, ranking members of two House committees sent a letter to Education Secretary Linda McMahon saying, "We urge you to reverse these short-sighted decisions before they cause any more damage to American students, families, and educators." President Trump signed an executive order yesterday calling for the Department of Education to be eliminated. Democrats argue the department does important work to ensure that all people are able to access and grow through education. A police-involved shooting on Chicago's far south side is under investigation. The incident happened on Thursday morning in the 900 block of East 100th Street in the city's Pullman neighborhood. Police say a man who was shot was taken to the hospital in critical condition. Authorities are asking anyone with any information to contact the Civilian Office of Police Accountability. News is a service of Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday morning at 7:30 on AM 560. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His Word each Sunday morning right here on AM 560 The Answer. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Your home is a valuable asset, and you want to take care of your home. From roofs, siding, windows, and doors to furnaces, flooring, landscaping, and much more. Listen to your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio every Sunday morning at 9. Presented by Lang Home Medical Equipment, Valdecast Windows and Doors, and by JeffBuysYourHouse.com. Get answers from industry experts so you can make informed decisions about your home improvement. Right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Jeff Tischlar, author of High Tech versus the Highest Tech, has shared his knowledge of the spectacular things that we see in nature as opposed to what man has created, and how this should inform one's faith. Jeff served on the mission field all over the world and has created this highly illustrated and concisely written technical book. The easy-to-read format is understood from the youngest reader to the most intelligent and mature readers. Google and Amazon book reviews include, "This is the best little book I have ever read. It is amazing how much information is in this book." And a beautifully written and illustrated book. The author has a gift for describing complicated technical details in a very understandable style. This book is available now in paperback on Amazon. Search High Tech versus the Highest Tech by Jeff Tischlar. 100% of proceeds go to missions. That's High Tech vs. the Highest Tech by Jeff Tischlar.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
So one of the things that we underestimated in the furniture industry is decorating around our furniture in our showrooms.
Ben and Arvid from Penny Mustard Furnishings.
Our accessorizing was terrible. And we were just too cheap to spend money on that. And we didn't know what to spend it on when we did. But today, you walk into our rooms, wow.
Not because of us. That's because of Emily and her team and other team members we've had throughout the years.
But I'm proud now to go in our showrooms and see where we were and where we are now as far as making them look really good.
PennyMustard.com.
I still can't decorate.
Raj Shah, host of Unleash Your Wealth.
You know, there are a lot of clients and people coming in from the radio into our office saying, I don't want to lose any money. I need to protect the money I have saved over the last 20 or 30 years, where you have strategies where you can structure an income stream where it has an inflation protection so that as inflation, if it continues to go up, your income will go up.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
It's already 53 minutes on the Kennedy outbound from downtown out to O'Hare. Through that work zone, solid delays from Fullerton to Irving Park. Crash in Crest Hill on US 30 at Caton Farm Road. Intersection's going to be blocked for a while. Accident investigation there. Lake County, a water main break. This is on US 6 southbound just after I-80 94. That roadway is going to be blocked off till sometime after 11 this morning. Traffic is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back with the Blue Cross Blue Shield's PPO or FEP? It's possible. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. Reporting this morning from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Joanne Jeanette.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Sunshine to start, then some clouds. Windy, not as cool, high 59. Clouds and breezy, rain or snow shower tonight, low down to 31. A sunny, cool day tomorrow, the high 44. Showers, a breezy day on Sunday, the high at 49. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Fake Al Extra Spice, Representative Jasmine Crockett. Her birthday's coming up.
Oh my gosh, what are you going to wear for her birthday?
If there was, if you were thinking about getting her something, in lieu of presents, she asks for this.
Politicians. So I'll make sure that I keep it short, but I am truly here for very selfish reasons. Starting with on March 29th, it's my birthday.
Oh my God.
And all I want to see happen on my birthday is for Elon to be taken down. Yes. Listen, I have learned as I serve on the Doge Oversight Committee that there is only one language that the people that are in charge understand right now. And that language is money. And so I've been so proud to see us organize behind
organize and, firebomb Tesla dealerships and so forth. No, it's very, very happy occurrence for Jasmine Crockett, who, in case it's unclear, like so many of her brethren, are apologists for the violence that is being perpetrated under the guise of taking down Elon Musk politically, because the only thing they understand is money. So go blow up his stuff.
Going to be a big rally at 300 different Tesla showrooms across the country. They say they're going to have 500 demonstrations at 300 Tesla showrooms. All right, whatever. At what will be probably a fiery but mostly peaceful protest, and that's going to take place on March 29th, her birthday.
The U.S. Army Special Operations Command has issued a nationwide threat advisory to all of its personnel who are Tesla owners. Let me say that again. The U.S. Army Special Operations Command, U.S. Army, a threat advisory to all of its personnel who are Tesla owners.
What world are we living in?
The emerging threat advisory will highlight potential threats to Tesla owners in response to concerns regarding force protection and threats to personnel. The Protection Directorate has accumulated threat reporting from nationwide sources, other law enforcement, government reporting, open source information. There are no credible threats at present directed to these personnel specifically, special operations personnel. But they mention Doge Quest, the website that is doxing Tesla owners. For what purpose? What purpose would they be doxing your Johnny Punch Clock Tesla owner out in America, out in the hinterlands? What purpose? And they go through the Tesla Day of Action on March 29th that you just mentioned. They suggest this in terms of mitigation. Tesla branded items owners should properly secure their property to prevent unwanted damage, remain on high alert in public areas with Tesla branded items, contact proper authorities for threat-related events. A comment from this Substacker named John Lucas on this. I and other military veterans have never seen anything like this in the United States. It's more like something that we would see in a foreign country such as Libya, Syria, or Afghanistan, warning civilians either to leave or take extreme precautions because of terrorist threats. The Special Operations Command is an umbrella organization that covers many of the military's most elite special operations unit. You know, I don't know if I'd want to mess with the Tesla of a guy on Delta Force, but that's me.
Yeah.
A Ranger. I don't think I want to mess around with their car. But maybe it's an FO moment for some of these domestic terrorists. This guy goes on to say, we have Americans to blame for this threat. These are not civic-minded protesters exercising their First Amendment rights in good faith. They're domestic terrorists, and likely foreign terrorists, too, since they're planning worldwide protests. These people and their organizers, supporters, enablers, and financial backers must be met with an overwhelming response that leaves no doubt that they will be treated as domestic terrorists that they are. And our politicians need to speak up loudly and forcefully. No more Tim Walz-type encouragement. Speaking of Tim Walz, Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank was on that CNN panel talking about the attacks on Tesla owners and Tesla dealerships, and that bizarre Waltz tangent at one of his stand-up shows that he's apparently doing, talking about how he looks at his an app on his phone to watch Tesla stock drop, and it gives him a little tickle. This is what Kevin O'Leary said about that.
It's beyond stupid what he did. He's talking down a 3.5% weighting in his own pension plan. I mean, what's the matter with that guy? He doesn't check the well-being of his own constituents in his state. I mean, that's their investment fund. What a bozo.
Oh, I love it. He called him a bozo. Thank you. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 80 Tesla vehicles were damaged at a dealership in Hamilton, Ontario. They had deep scratches, punctured tires, and other damage. And this is 3 people face federal charges, thank goodness, in the U.S., for damaging property. One person was armed with an AR-15 rifle and threw 8 Molotov cocktails at a Tesla dealership in Salem, Oregon.
Yeah, it's all
that's
these,
not going to stop them.
All these people of peace who armed with AR-15s committing acts of domestic terrorism. I mean, it's Antifa redux. But Pam Bondi had something to say. Speaking of politicians standing up loudly and forcefully, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, had something to say about those 3 and others like them.
We have people we're locking up on that. We have someone in jail right now from one of the dealerships. They threw a Molotov cocktail through a dealership. They're looking at up to 20 years in prison. Good. So if you're going to touch a Tesla, go to a dealership, do anything, you better watch out because we're coming after you. Wow. And if you're funding this, we're coming after you. We're going to find out who you are.
Good. Because eventually they're going to hit somebody. If you keep throwing things at something, you don't know if somebody may be in the car, maybe in the dealership. Somebody eventually could lose their life.
But, of course, as we discussed yesterday and have been discussing for years, frankly, this is not a feature of this is not a bug of the left. It's a feature. People who are prone to political violence. It's a feature. And all you have to see.
I'm sorry.
And all you have to do is see how popular it is when a group of leftists are in a place they are comfortable in and can demonstrate who they really are. The mob mentality that takes over this cult, these cultists, I should say, individual cultists that create a mob. Again, how many times do you have to see it play out in real time before you start to notice a pattern?
Well, there's a Tesla takedown stream with celebrities and politicians, which is not helping either.
And so The Daily Show, documenting the things that we've been documenting, all these attacks on Tesla dealerships and Tesla owners, and the audience reaction, the studio audience's reaction.
Jim, they're taking to the streets or the parking lots
Tonight, the FBI and ATF now investigating multiple cases of possible arson targeting Teslas and Cybertrucks.
This dramatic video shows multiple cars in flames. Police say the attacker used Molotov cocktails. It's the latest in more than a dozen instances of arson and vandalism targeting Tesla.
The same suspect shot more Teslas with a gun. Tesla Cybertrucks were set on fire in Kansas City, and earlier this month, shots fired at a Tesla dealership in Oregon. Cybertrucks on fire in Seattle.
Wow, you guys like petty acts of domestic terrorism, huh?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, and there wasn't an applause sign up. They did that organically.
Even if there was an applause sign up.
Well, they're idiots.
Dave in Lake Geneva.
Yeah, Dan and Amy, the segment right before what you're doing now with the Tesla blow-up kids, hey, education. This all stems out of education and our squandered money to the Department of Education to indoctrinate kids to believe this kind of tripe. That's why they're taking to the streets. They want to pretend like they're radicals, like their teachers were that taught them to fight against something, things that don't even make sense. And that's what we're looking at right now. We're reaping what we sowed in spending the money on that education.
Yeah, well, I mean, we heard from, esteemed professors in academia, like that William and Mary professor who talked about violence as a tool of the revolution. I mean, so that's what they're being taught at colonial athletic association schools like William and Mary. Relatively elite private schools, or is William and Mary State School? I can't remember in Virginia. Anyway, regardless, the point is that to Dave's point, right? The educated. This isn't it's your rabble in an intellectual sense, but not in a credentialed sense. This isn't like homeless people that the Open Society Foundation is giving $20 to go firebomb a Tesla. I mean, it's a mishmash, but it's activists from other spaces, revolutionary activists from other spaces like LGBTQIA or BLM or even the eco-supremacists that move into this space because it's the cause du jour. But the tactics don't change. Any more than they changed when they were torching Kenosha or burning down a police precinct in Minneapolis. Or creating an autonomous zone in Seattle.
Everybody brought their own flags to that Lyle protest. The Ukrainian flag, the Palestinian flag, the LGBTQ plus flag.
Well, I don't care. Well, yeah.
But I'm just saying that just shows what group that they're, all uniting.
Of course, it's solidarity and marginality. Again, we see this play out over and over and over again. It is the same playbook. Solidarity and marginality. Now that protest in Lyle, it's fine. You can, do your arts and crafts show with Musk with his little Hitler mustache and all the other fun jingles that they came up with. Maybe Francis Collins can pen a little ditty about it and you can have a little sing in. Whatever. That's fine. But that belies the darkness of the left. That belies what they will platform, which is violence as one of the means to their ends. Paul and Carrie.
Morning, guys. Dan, I got a question for you at the risk of exposing my ignorance. Could not, when Trump hands down these executive orders, to have somebody vacate the order and the judge uphold it, thereby actually upholding their decision, essentially beating the Democrats to the punch? I mean, what I'm trying to get at is we have to be creative here to beat the Democrats before they have their dilettantes uphold or actually rescind these decisions. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Wait. So I'm not sure I understand. You're saying Trump issues an executive order, and what are you saying is the play?
Could they not have somebody go in from the right side and attempt to vacate that order, and then the judge would essentially uphold it?
Oh,
no, I'm not
like a reverse psychology. The conservatives are upset about this executive order, so the liberal judge will uphold it for spite. No, I don't. I mean, I don't think that's going to work. And I don't think that's really the play. I think the play needs to be pretty straightforward. What we could and should do, as we talked about a bit the other day with Professor Richard Epstein and others, is you have to get Congress to act. I mean, you do have to have the legislative branch play a role here. This isn't a one-man job, not a one-branch job.
And at the time, we're watching, the clock is ticking, and up to midterms,
Right. No, I hear you. Thanks for the call, Paul. And there's no reason that there shouldn't be expedited appeals of these federal district court decisions. And in many cases, too, I mean, that all of the federal court interventions are not the same. Some are just pressing the pause button pending a fuller litigation of the matter at hand. Others are creating more potentially problematic roadblocks. But, I mean, unlike Biden, for example, and it's rather ironic given that Trump is the one accused of being a dictator. Of course, we understand their projection. Trump, when he was on Laura Ingram's show the other day, and we sat down with Ingram, was very clear. He was pressed on whether or not he would defy court orders, and he said this.
Well, I think that, number one, nobody's been through more courts than I have. I think nobody knows the courts any better than I have. I would say the chief judge does, but nobody knows them better than I have. And what they've done to me, I've had the worst judges. I've had crooked judges. I have judges that valued Mar-a-Lago at $18 million because that benefited his case, because he wanted to see me convicted of something. I have judges that had relatives making millions and millions of dollars on the election, ruling on the election.
But going forward,
I had judges that were so corrupt.
Because we all know that was outrageous.
I never did defy a court order.
And you wouldn't in the future?
No, you can't do that. However, we have bad judges. We have very bad judges. And these are judges that shouldn't be allowed. I think at a certain point, you have to start looking at what do you do when you have a rogue judge.
Yeah, I agree with that in terms of looking at Article III courts. But the important point there, I would never do that. I've never done that. Right. When Trump gets upset, he doesn't take his ball and go home. Or is targeted. He doesn't. He goes to court. That's what he does. He litigates matters. Which is why we have that justice system. Why we have that third branch of government. He doesn't do what Biden did with student loans. The Supreme Court tried to stop me, but they didn't. He doesn't do what the left advocated Biden do on a range of issues. Not just student loans, but on federal district court judges who enjoined the sale of abortifacients, for example, in Texas. What did AOC do? AOC and many others advocated ignoring that federal district judge's order. That's not what Trump is saying. He's saying quite the opposite, explicitly. So for all of the disruptor, system destroyer, autocrat, authoritarian, fascist, end of democracy, for all of the overheated rhetoric, what do you get at the end of the day if you're actually paying attention? Somebody who operates within the system and is looking for solutions from within the system to affect his policy agenda. Pretty conventional, actually. Mike in Littleton, Colorado. Ben in Crown Point.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Going back to your point where you're talking about how much of this violence are we going to take? I mean, it's like the Democrats Party was born on violence. I mean, it draws violence all through from Fort Sumter all the way through Reconstruction, all of it. When are we going to say finally enough of this? You're talking 200 years of putting up with this violence. When are we going to finally say no?
Thanks, Ben.
Well, things could get violent March 29th, that's for sure. And then you have people...
Morning.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Phil in Maryville.
Morning. 2 quick points. First one is, I'm going to guess that most of these Tesla owners are Democrats, and they're basically attacking their own people. And when is it going to stop with, like, the next car brand, the next product, and they're going to attack their own people? And what my second point is, with them doing this, I think they're basically sealing another election win for us, because the Democrat voters are going to smarten up and say, hey, I've had enough of being attacked from my own people, and we got multiple elections to win in the future. I love it. Have a good one.
One can hope. Thanks for the call, Phil. But, I mean, you understand they don't care. I mean, they're not afraid of cannibalizing their own people. This is French Revolution stuff or Russian Revolution. I mean, to the extent that you stray from the orthodoxy, then you're a target, too. Guess who's on the menu in his own party right now?
Who?
Chuck Schumer.
Oh, yeah.
You think if Chuck Schumer was driving a Tesla in Manhattan, any of these people would have any qualms about going up and keying his car or worse? No. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
AM 560 listeners, sign up today to receive a free financial education video series, The 5 Retirement Pitfalls and How to Avoid Them, courtesy of Steve Shyman, host of Protecting Your Assets radio show, Saturdays at 8 a.m. Sign up is easy, and the 5-part video series is completely free and will arrive in your email inbox. Sign up today. It's free. Please text your name and email address to 833-945-7283. Again, please text your name and email address to 833-945-7283.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
Enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock, all day, every day, including daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer on Dan and Amy 24/7. Listen now at danandamy247.com. AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Since K through 12 education is in the news, we'll revisit what the Illinois General Assembly is doing to try to end homeschooling as we know it in Illinois. 6:06.
Today it's going to be windy, a high of 56 degrees by this afternoon, but tonight 32 for a low and possible rain and snow showers. It is now 6 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Put everything back. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. Top House Democrats in a letter to Education Secretary Linda McMahon are urging the Trump administration to rescind an order to start dismantling the Department of Education before it causes any more damage to America's students, families, and educators, the letter says. President Trump says the department's useful actions will be preserved. Secretary McMahon tells Fox she wants to work with Congress.
I think if we can show them that the best plan is to have states in control of education for their communities, for their students, for their teachers, for their parents, that is the best thing.
Congress would have to approve fully eliminating the department. President Trump also signs an order to prioritize mineral mining projects.
It's a big thing in this country, and as you know, we're also signing agreements in various locations to unlock rare earths and minerals.
He says the deal for access to Ukraine's minerals for manufacturing will be signed very shortly. There's another hearing today in D.C. about deportation flights under the Alien Enemies Act. The judge says the Trump administration's response for more information has been woefully inefficient.
Federal Judge James Boasberg says the Trump administration is evading its obligations after the Justice Department missed a noon deadline to privately give more details regarding those deportation flights to El Salvador. Boasberg says instead of giving the information he wanted, the government gave a 6-paragraph declaration from an Immigration and Customs Enforcement office in Texas. The declaration notified the court that Cabinet Secretary are considering whether to invoke state secrets privilege, which allows the government to withhold certain information because of national security concerns.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. The head of Israel's Shin Bet intelligence agency, Ronan Bar, is being dismissed despite 3 days of protests against it. Shin Bet is investigating Prime Minister Netanyahu aides. Barr calls his firing illegal. Netanyahu says that he's lost confidence in him. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 32 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The NTSB says Maryland transportation authorities didn't perform a proper risk assessment of Baltimore's Key Bridge before it collapsed. 6 construction workers died nearly a year ago when a cargo ship hit one of the bridge's pillars.
The Maryland Transportation Authority never ran the calculation on the Key Bridge.
NTSB Chairwoman Jennifer Holmandy spoke at a Thursday news conference. The NTSB is recommending that 68 bridges across 19 states be evaluated. The list includes California's Golden Gate and New York City's Brooklyn and George Washington bridges. The Chicago Board of Education is delaying a vote on a controversial budget amendment backed by Mayor Johnson. School Board President Sean Hardin announced yesterday the board decided to postpone the vote that would have reimbursed City Hall for a pension payment and funded a Chicago Teachers Union agreement.
We're extremely close to settling the Teachers Union contract. So as a result, the budget amendment and related items have been withdrawn from today's agenda.
The CTU and CPS ended the day without a deal, prompting CTU leaders to announce that they will hold a special House of Delegations meeting in the near future that typically leads to a strike authorization vote. The homeschooling bill is being approved by the Illinois House Education Policy Committee. Under the legislation, families would be required to tell their school districts if they are homeschooling their children. The parents or guardians would need a high school diploma or equivalent. News is a service of Valdecast Windows. For the discerning homeowner looking for high-quality and professional-level window replacement service, contact Valdecast Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella certified contractor. Visit Valdecast.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
And splashdown. Crew 9 back on Earth.
The news cycle
The Dragon spacecraft splashdown in the Gulf of America
is speeding up.
I think you and 9 other Democrats caved.
I'm the best leader for the Senate. We're moving forward.
And it's more important than ever to keep up.
I think we found now 14 magic money computers, which can just make money out of thin air.
The gunshot that was fired into one of the Tesla vehicles.
Trump spent 2 hours on the phone with Vlad.
On the air, on your phone, or online.
The president will then determine what the next steps are.
Keep it right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, you want to hear some great news? Preborn is bringing babies back to life. What you might not be aware of is that even though Roe has been overturned and abortion has been greatly restricted in many states, the abortion pill has now superseded surgical abortions, accounting now for 60% of these deaths. Preborn's network of clinics are on standby for women in their darkest hour, and when they meet them with God's love and free service to help them choose life, including a treatment that counteracts the toxic abortion pill, these life-saving and heart-changing measures, Preborn and their network clinics have rescued over 330,000 babies' lives. But the work has just begun, and every day thousands of babies' lives hang in the balance. Your tax-deductible donation of any amount is crucial in the fight and the heartbeat of our nation. Will you help us? All proceeds will go towards life. Just dial pound 250, pound 250, and say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, keyword baby. Or donate securely at preborn.com/hope. That's preborn.com/hope. Sponsored by Preborn.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
On the Kennedy outbound, it's starting to see some traffic there between the Burn interchange and Kimball. This is due to that road work there. Water main break shutting down US 6 in Lake County after I-80 94. Eden's looking good. Inbound side is fine. That's still 16 minutes. The outbound Eden's at 20. Eisenhower inbound just starting to build, approaching Harlem, still in good shape. Same with the Stevenson. Dan Ryan is 19 minutes in from 95th. Traffic is a service of Dan and Amy 24/7. You can now enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock all day, every day, including replays of Chicago's Morning Answer. Listen now at danandamy247.com. Reporting this morning from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Joanne Jeanette.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Some sunshine giving way to clouds, windy and not as cool today, high 59. Clouds and breezy, rain or snow shower tonight, low 31. A sunny, cool day tomorrow, the high 44. And then a shower or two on Sunday, breezy with the high at 49. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Matt Hennessy had a good piece in the Wall Street Journal this week. The never-ending war on homeschooling. It's being waged in Illinois by state government against homeschooling families, whose only request, if you've paid any attention to this issue over so many generations, is basically to be left alone.
Right.
And we probably should leave them alone, because we know very well the data is irrefutable on how well homeschooling children do academically, socially, as compared to their government and even private school counterparts. So we should probably leave them alone. The other thing that's ironic about these on-again, off-again incursions into, or attempted incursions into homeschooling families, is what's the crutch that the government schools use to explain their substandard results despite billions and billions more of money thrown at the system year after year after year, as we were just talking about last hour? $44 billion, real numbers, just for inflation over the last 2 decades. $44 billion more spent on K through 12 education in Illinois, only to see the academic proficiencies stagnate or actually recede. What's the crutch they use?
Well, they're threatened by homeschoolers.
What's the crutch they use?
Your girl, Rep. Tara Costa Howard, said, well, 38 states have these regulations, so we need to have them too.
That's not the crutch they use.
No, that's not the crutch they use.
The crutch they use is, well, education starts in the home. Don't you know that, Dan? You know, there's only so much we can do. You know, you have to also bring in mom and dad, or mom or dad. You have to bring in the families to this equation too. Okay, teachers union, we'll bring in the families. But then when the families are doing it right, you want to get involved and intercede between parents and kids. Why? If it's just about figuring out the best way for every kid to be put on a path to independent, successful life, to have the skills to compete and thrive, then why try to tinker with something that's working?
Right.
Why can't we tinker with something that isn't working, since we're paying for it?
I always try to fix stuff that's not broken. But House Bill 2827 passed out of the Education Policy Committee by an 8-4 vote. But did you see what they want to do? They want, obviously, notify the school district if you're intent to homeschool, proof of education. They want to know what the children are being taught, and proof of exams and immunizations. And this one mom, Latasha Fields, black woman, been homeschooling for 18 years, lives on the South Side, has been very successful. She does not want to let anyone in her house.
It literally strips away parental autonomy. It literally strips away parental rights. And so a lot of us, including us, we're extremely angry. This is very egregious. This is unconscionable what they're doing. We're Christians, so we teach a faith-based biblical worldview. What if that's not satisfactory to Chicago public school systems?
Yeah, Latasha Fields ran for lieutenant governor last cycle. Latasha Fields is a friend of the show. We've had on many times. She's part of Bob Woodson's orbit of people at the grassroots and grasstops level that are actually affecting solutions that improve options for families and outcomes for kids. And Tara Costa Howard is who Glen Ellen and Lombard sent to the General Assembly.
Oh, she's crazy. I don't even want to play her soundbite. I don't even know what she's not even making sense.
Tara Costa Howard says she is the victim of bullying by homeschooling families. Threats and intimidation, constituents calling my office demanding meetings.
Me? That's not threatening. That's what your job.
Telling my staff they would be protesting outside my home if I didn't meet their demands. That's also allowed. In this political climate, it seems to be something that is encouraged. Tara Costa Howard decrying a political climate that because constituents want to meet with her or people might protest her because she is a ghoul and so worthy of peaceful protest. Meanwhile, all of her fellow travelers are running interference for people engaged in actual violence against Tesla owners, just for example. Does it ever get stale for you folks in Glen Ellen and Lombard in the western suburbs? Did you ever tire of this act from the Sean Castons and the Tara Costa Howards? For people who are tired of this act, do you ever talk to your neighbor and say, aren't you tired of this act?
Yeah. Why are we living like this?
The measure would require homeschooling families to notify school districts when they homeschool, require administrators to have minimum high school education. It would also require the Department of Children and Family Services to notify the Illinois State Board of Education if someone in their care is being homeschooled. It will allow them to check to confirm the student is indeed being homeschooled, right? Because I'll tell you, you know what the government is great at? Raising and looking after children. School district can also request that a homeschooling administrator provide an educational portfolio as evidence that the instruction is sufficient to satisfy education requirements. I mean, the unmitigated gall of a state education bureaucracy and these legislators flack for, that has 30% of 4th and 8th graders at proficiency level in reading and math. I mean, to be lecturing anybody about what sufficient instruction looks like. It is really, really something that is entertaining from a distance. It is barbaric close up. And I say again to all of these leftists, and you should be saying this to your neighbors too. They can firebomb businesses they don't like, and so many on our side can't even make their voices heard, can't even be bothered to vote on April 1st. And you wonder why the Tara Costa Howards thrive. Can you challenge them on this? Can you say, we're going to sustain the arguments and name the names in advance of this conversation who were on which side of the dividing line? Or even if you just don't want to name the names, you don't want to make a big public fight about it. I mean, just challenge them. I mean, just understand which side of history you're going to be recorded as having stood within your family. This is not just conversations that should be happening on conservative radio. But, of course, so few on the left will engage because they're intellectual simpletons and cowards. But that doesn't mean you have to enable their cowardice and ignorance by staying silent. Can you stand up for a homeschooling family? Do you know any in your district? Why don't you rally with them? Or send the Christian Home Educators Coalition a check. Do something in the western suburbs rather than just bitch about Tara Costa Howard or Anastasia Murray or Deb Conroy or the removal of Henry Hyde's name from the county building. All the things that we on the center right have enabled. Tony in Downers Grove.
So it's always the fallback. The 38 other states are doing it. So what they're afraid of is losing control of controlling your children. They're afraid that the kids are going to get religion in their home. And the irony here is you have public education who, in many areas, you don't have to notify the parent if your child is using a different name. You don't have to notify the parent if your child is pregnant. However, you do have to notify the state as to everything else you're doing as you're homeschooling. The irony is rich. It's amazing. And what's going to happen to those lunch programs and breakfast programs? They're afraid of losing that too. We have to make that nationwide, don't we? It's pathetic. It's pathetic.
Thanks for the call, Tony. 300,000 Trump voters in Illinois voted for Trump in 2016 and 2020 and 2024. Disappeared in 2022. Mainly disappeared in the municipal elections like most people do. I'm sure will again on April 1st. But they're happy to weigh in with their opinion on Facebook or X.
Please do more than that. Got a text message. Dan and Amy, you know what's next. A $2,000 permit to teach at home.
No, it's not. Well, I mean, yeah, whatever. I mean, the iterations, the point is not about the money. The point is about the control, what Tony from Downers Grove just said, folding them in. And they'll find a story where something bad happened to a kid who was homeschooled, right, and they'll extrapolate that to say this is what homeschooling platforms. Meanwhile, kids are routinely sexually abused in the public schools all over the fracking place.
City, suburbs.
And nothing is said about that. There's just a huge settlement in Homewood Flossmoor for a kid that was sexually abused.
$3.1 million.
Downers Grove South, we talked about earlier in the week. I mean, again, these are one-offs. I'm not saying that's representative of the entirety of the government school system, but they turn around and say that very thing when it comes to one example they can dig up of some homeschooling family that was derelict in their duty or some child that was abused while also being homeschooled. Sure, I'm sure there's a story out there. That's terrible. That's why we have laws to protect children, regardless of whether they're in a family that homeschools or a family that sends the kid to a government school or a private school, because it happens there too. But they don't care about that. They don't care about anything resembling intellectual honesty because everything is in pursuit of dominion over others. Everything. And it's amazing. It's like that Nicole Georges. One mom in Deerfield can go around the world by standing up to the mob up there. Mm-hmm. Little groups of homeschooling families have been able to stave off Leviathan in Illinois, of all places, for generations because of the political pressure they are able to apply. And yet professional people, commonsensical people in the western suburbs can't figure out how to get together and say, I think we can do better than Tara Costa Howard. I think we can do better than Anastasia Murray. I think we can do better than Sean Casten. It's so pathetic. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
So how's the separation going? Are you guys able to work things out?
No. I think we're headed for divorce.
That sucks. Gonna be an expensive legal battle?
Well, no, that's one thing we agree on, actually. Arbitration.
Arbitration? Like mediation?
Sort of, but better. We'll have a firm decision.
Oh, that's easier. Who's your arbitrator?
Bert Hochberg.
That attorney at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck?
Yeah, senior partner. Comes highly recommended.
Are you facing divorce or a family law issue? Burton S. Hochberg offers arbitration services, a dispute resolution process that will save you time, money, and the complexity of litigation. Let Burton hear and resolve your claims with choices that best suit you and yours. To discuss, call Bert directly, or even better, have your attorney call Bert at 773-255-6150. That's 773-255-6150. Again, 773-255-6150. No one knows arbitration like Bert Hochberg. Why go through a difficult divorce? Call Bert at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck, Chicago's preeminent family law firm since 1981.
Well, you just got a preview of what I'll be frothing at the mouth about on Saturday, March 29th at the LaSalle County LaSalle County Republican Party's Lincoln Day dinner. That is in Ottawa. You can join us for a night of celebration and camaraderie, and me probably losing my mind in significant measure. I'll be the keynote speaker, so be sure to get your tickets today. Go to 560theanswer.com/Lincoln. That's 560theanswer.com/Lincoln.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. My father was a union iron worker, just like his father, but while he inherited his father's skill, he did not inherit his tolerance for taking orders from union bosses. He needed a change, something that was his, something where he could call the shots. So he started a janitorial company. His company cleaned grocery stores and airplane hangars, dentist office and construction sites, hardware stores and restaurants. As his business expanded, so did the complexity of managing it, especially the taxes. Preparing tax returns requires records, and Dad just never got accustomed to keeping good records. That was a mistake. It cost him his business. Initially, I followed my father and grandfather and became a union iron worker, third generation. I'm very proud of that legacy. Now I'm a tax attorney. I help business owners protect what they've built. Fighting back against the IRS is personal to me. If you own a business and have tax troubles, fight back. Go to fightbacknow.com. That's fightbacknow.com, or call 312-664-6649. Become a freedom fighter today.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere, delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Samsung TV Plus, channel 1177.
National security is at risk, and China controls most of the world's supply of antimony, a critical metal for military and defense technology. Military Metals Corp is taking action and securing a Western-controlled supply with projects in Europe and North America. Critical minerals are the backbone of modern defense. Now's the time to pay attention. The stock trades on the OTC under ticker MILIF. Call your broker today or go to www.militarymetalscorp.com to learn more.
Maha starts with Virago, making America healthy again. With the worst flu season in years, you need an immune system boost. The stronger your immune system, the stronger your body fights and defends against So get Virago. Virago Immune Enhancement Support is a unique blend of 23 nutraceuticals, ingredients that have been available as individual nutraceuticals, but now working in synergy to maximize their effects. Recommended by medical physicians, dentists, and other healthcare professionals, Virago is the nutraceutical cocktail for immune support. Developed to strengthen your immune system for quick response to immune challenges, for short and long-term immunity, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. It even protects your heart, kidneys, liver, all in a unique liquid supplement for better absorption. Order online at myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com. myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Quality ingredients for optimum health. Maha, making America healthy again starts with Virago.
This is Carol Platt, Liebau for townhall.com. The American left has embraced the cause of 26-year-old Mahmoud Khalil, the legal permanent resident who led the pro-Hamas activism at Columbia University. The left seems shocked that the Trump administration would want Khalil deported, but it's only common sense. Khalil is an outspoken Hamas sympathizer, and Hamas is a terrorist group. Any permanent resident can be deported if the State Department has grounds to believe his presence or activity has serious adverse foreign policy consequences. A Hamas sympathizer who incites wild protests on an American campus most certainly fits the bill. The American left continues to decry the supposed abridgment of Khalil's First Amendment rights. 5 years after their enthusiastic support for censoring fellow Americans who questioned the official COVID narrative, their tender concern for a terrorist sympathizer's speech rights defies belief. Good riddance to Mahmoud Khalil.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. This was a fun moment. No, not in Illinois. We have to, well, it's an unusual place to go, but we have to go all the way out to Washington State, Newcastle, Washington, to be specific. This was a fun exchange during a public comment hour where you had one of these people like you saw in Deerfield last week promoting boys changing in the girls' locker room in middle schools. Another one of these LGBTQIA2S+++++ neo-Jacobins showed up to bitch about the pride flag not being flown prominently enough. And compare it to another flag. See if this comparison disturbs you the way it disturbed Newcastle, Washington Mayor Robert Clark.
My research shows that there's been 82,000 Americans who are registered as POWs or MIAs, which is atrocious and horrible, and it should never happen to any American. But there's 20 million minimum LGBTQ members. So when we're talking about special interest, let's just have some intellectual integrity.
Oh my God.
I've talked before about the hypocrisy of some of the people up on that dais, and I think that your approach to trying to trick people out of having to fly the pride flag in June by making sure that the POW MIA flag was flown is really disgusting, and again, it's not impartial in any way, and I think that you should be ashamed. I definitely am. Thank you.
It's not common that I respond to public comment, but I will not sit here and have somebody tell me that veterans are a political stunt. How dare you? This country was founded because veterans lost their lives. Hundreds of thousands of people died for this country so that you could fly your pride flag. And man, I am pissed. I'm sorry. This is out of line, and perhaps my council members will censure me for this, but do not ever disparage veterans in my presence, right? Those 82,000 people who never came home will never have a chance to have a family or grow up while you can fly your pride flag. They sacrificed their lives all over the world for America and for freedom around the world. I tolerate your comments, which are always on the attack, and all in your libelous comments on Facebook. I tolerate it because, you know, you probably can't help yourself, but don't ever disparage veterans in front of me. Don't ever disparage veterans in front of me, and we're done. Okay, next up on public comment.
That's what you're dealing with. I mean, the mayor's comments were salient. That's what you're dealing with these these leftists. Just the same way you saw the bearded ladies up in Deerfield. It's the same thing. These are people who will compare POW MIAs to the larger trans community and reduce POW and MIAs and representing them on a flag to remember those who sacrificed, as the mayor said, as a special interest group. Just another special interest group that has their interests. You know, the families of POW MIAs have their interests, and we have our interests, and they're morally equivalent.
They're not. Just like, the LGBTQ tried to take over BLM and like, oh, you got to stay in your lane. And
it's a product of an abdication of the principles of Western civilization. That's what that human who spoke before the mayor responded is reflective of. And you see it all over the place. We'll see. You want to recapture it? A good thing is Trump does. So that's a start. So for even people that are just being dragged along because they can't ally with the woman who spoke at that Newcastle, Washington meeting, but they can't quite figure out what else to do other than not ally with them. At least we have some leadership now, or some better leadership at the federal level. We have some really good leadership at the state, local levels in a lot of places, not Illinois, but a lot of other places. So, I mean, I'm hopeful. Not in Illinois, but for other places. Coming up at 6:36, we'll talk to our friend Selena Zito. Is Trump indeed revitalizing the Rust Belt one company at a time? 6:36.
But now let's head into the newsroom and say good morning to Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 32 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President Trump has officially signed an executive order to dismantle the Department of Education, first created by then President Carter back in 1979. The president says test scores for kids have been declining for years, and it's time to see Education Authority be returned to the states. Education Secretary Linda McMahon will have to get congressional approval to officially abolish the department. Elon Musk is getting briefed on the U.S. military's plan for a potential war with China today. That's according to a New York Times report citing two U.S. officials. Giving Musk access to top military secrets would greatly expand his role as an advisor to President Trump. Experts note it could create a conflict of interest, as Musk is CEO of both Tesla and SpaceX and a leading supplier to the Pentagon. West suburban Naperville police are making their fourth gun-related arrest in about 6 weeks at a Topgolf parking lot. Juan Ricardo Gomez of Griffith, Indiana, has been charged with one count of aggravated unlawful use of a weapon. He was arrested Tuesday night outside of the 3211 Odyssey Court facility. Police said they spotted a handgun in Gomez's parked vehicle. Authorities discovered the weapon was fully loaded with an extended magazine. Gomez allegedly possessed the gun without a valid concealed carry license or FOID card. News is a service of Air Right Heating and Cooling, offering AM 560 listeners $56 off of any service including inspections, or take advantage of limited-time federal rebates on a new furnace. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RIT.com. Again, that's AIR-RIT.com. I check out the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
This week on Capitol Hill is the best way to get informed on everything going on with Congress. Hosted by Tony Perkins and the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
Passing that budget resolution was a huge step forward. The media, the Democrats, they all decried the effort. They mocked us. They said it couldn't be done. We got the resolution done against all odds.
Stay informed and become a regular listener. This week on Capitol Hill. Sundays at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Grit Regional Manager sought by Nexamp Incorporated to lead regional grid integration team, managing workloads, setting priorities, ensuring team is aligned with Nexamp's strategic goals. Requirements are a master's in electrical engineering or related, plus 2 years experience, 1.5 years experience in DER interconnection, domestic travel up to 20%, flex schedule in office and may work remotely within commuting distance to Chicago office 2 to 3 days per week. Salary is $140,000 per year. Benefits, 401k, health, dental, vision insurance, paid time off, commuter benefits, cell phone reimbursement. Please email cover letter and resume to recruitment@nexamp.com. Attention, Nexamp 2024 in the subject line, 101 North Wacker Drive, Suite 200, Chicago, Illinois, 60606. Again, please email cover letter and resume to recruitment@nexamp.com with attention, Nexamp 2024 in the subject line, 101 North Wacker Drive, Suite 200, Chicago, Illinois, 60606.
Did you know that AM 560 Radio has a full-service digital marketing division called Salem Surround? If you're a business decision maker, listen up. AM 560 listeners are everywhere your potential audience is. So are our incredible targeting capabilities. We localize digital marketing and put it within reach of every business, small and large, in Chicagoland and beyond. Salem Surround offers AI-powered marketing solutions that reach your ideal audience. Whether or not you tap into the proven live, local, and emotional connection that AM 560 Radio radio brings, Salem Surround offers a total marketing solution to our partners. All-in-one digital solutions that provide targeted local digital and social media ads, Google AdWords management, website services, video strategy, search optimization, and even a management dashboard to offer you total campaign updates and transparency. Your Salem Surround representative is located right here in Chicago. Experience the Salem Surround digital revolution today. Call 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951.
Are you concerned with AMD? Now, protecting your eyes is easier thanks to New Nordic's Blueberry Eye Supplements. Available now at Amazon.com or NewNordicUSA.com.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
In Crest Hill, US 30 accident Plainfield Road at Caton Farm. Elgin, US 20 reduced to 1 lane at State Street. Eden's inbound, it's 30 minutes from Lake Cook to Montrose. The Kennedy Inn, 55 from O'Hare into downtown. It's that outbound Kennedy. It's heavy, and that's due to that road work between the Byrne Interchange and Kimball. Eisenhower in at 1 hour from the Jane Addams to Congress. 36 in from Wolf. Not too bad on the Stevenson inbound, 54 minutes from the Veterans. Dan Ryan already 30 minutes from 95th. This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Springfest savings start now. Get up to 40% off select major appliances. Plus, you can save an additional $100 on every $1,000 you spend on select major appliances. Valid now through April 2nd. Selections vary by location. While supplies last, see Lowe's.com for more details. Reporting today from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Joanne Jeanette.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Sunshine to start, then some clouds, windy, not as cool, high 59. Clouds and breezy, rain or snow shower tonight, low down to 31. A sunny, cool day tomorrow, the high 44. Showers, a breezy day on Sunday, the high at 49. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We've talked a little bit about polling this week. Snapshots in time. But there are some trend lines that are worth noting. Generally very favorable to Trump and Republicans at this point, as we noted, when you have favorability for Democrats at an all-time high, and this is institutions like CNN conducting the polling and reporting on said polling. The favorability for Democrats all-time low, I should say 29% we saw this week. Now, again, Republican favorability is in the mid-30s, so it's not like it's a beloved institution either, but there's more. Basically, as we've seen for the last decade, this is the distribution of favorability among honkies as it pertains to Trump. White men with no college degree, 40 plus 41. Trump is plus 41 favorable to unfavorable among white men with no college degree. White men with a college degree, plus 1. 40-point difference. White women, no college degree. Trump is plus 14. White women with a college degree, he's minus 38. 52-point difference. Gosh, what is the... What do you think connects those numbers? Maybe it's something to do with a college degree and what happens at the collegiate level, in addition to who's oriented to go to college and what's happening in those areas which happen to be wealthier and more suburban, right? Well, the good news, as I've been saying for a long time, and as Trump has advanced this cause with his victory, those awfuls, angry white female leftists in the suburbs with their degrees in art history from Vassar, they're increasingly irrelevant thanks to the progress that Trump and Republicans have made with respect to other constituencies like Latinos and blacks. Rui Teixeira, over at the Liberal Patriot, writing this week, and again, man of the left, academic. Democrats did worse in the 24 election than you think. You know how the radical revolutionary element in the Democrat Party is trying to minimize what happened in 2024. It wasn't that much of a blowout. It was close. The splits in the look at how narrow the House is and so forth. Only won the popular vote by 1.5 points. Okay. Rui Teixeira has a different perspective. What's happening is that less engaged voters are becoming more Republican. That's a problem when Democrats are always promoting higher turnout, because the higher the turnout, the more these voters show up, and the worse it is for Democrats. Hoist by their own petard because they've denigrated their brand. This is consistent with this Vox.com story that was out this week, or analysis that was out this week, that had every registered voter voted, Trump would have won the popular vote, not by 1.5 points, but by 5 percentage points. Teixeira goes on, Hispanics are overwhelmingly moderate to conservative in ideology. It's been well documented that Hispanic conservatives have begun shifting dramatically to the right in their voting patterns. But the Shore's data, the Vox.com story that we referenced, now establishes that Hispanic moderates are joining that party that move right. 24-point decline in the Democrat advantage among this group from 2020 to 2024. Since 2016, there's been a total 46-point margin shift away from Democrats. Hispanic moderates are now voting very similarly to white moderates. Immigrant, the Vox.com data also indicate immigrant voters swung from plus 27 Biden to plus 1 Trump. Plus 27 Biden to plus 21 Trump. The Vox.com analysis also suggests that Trump outright won voters under 30, to which Teixeira says, he said wow to the immigrant swing, double wow to the under 30. Also, Gen Z voters under 25, regardless of race or gender, are now more conservative than the corresponding millennial voters. So much for the Democrats' generational tsunami. So you go ahead and be the party of the distaff Brahmin constituency in this country, the housewives of Hinsdale and Highland Park. Go ahead. You can have them. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Selena Zito. She's a national political reporter. Check out her latest, always, at selenazito.com. And she's got a new book, Butler, The Untold Story of the Near Assassination of Donald Trump and the Fight for America's Heartland. That's going to be available this summer, July 8th. The book is called Butler, The Untold Story of the Near Assassination of Donald Trump and the Fight for America's Heartland. So, you want to pre-order that. Selena Zito, thanks for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
Oh, hey, thanks so much for having you. Reading that report the other day, I just kind of smiled. Because I thought, well, had anybody been reading me, they would have known this already.
Yeah.
Because I came on your show and I talked about it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
This shift has been happening beginning in 2014, very incrementally, in particular among Hispanic and Black voters, but also among young people. And each year it just ticked further right, and oftentimes what pushed these voters right was not the Republicans in as much as the Democrats, who had just completely lost and became untethered to what was important to voters. And the Republicans, in particular, with Donald Trump and at the head of the party, but also with bringing J.D. Vance to the forefront, really understood what was, very intuitively, what was on the minds and what was bothering voters. That's and people will find this out on the very granular level when they get Butler, because I was out there reporting this. I was also 4 feet away from the president when he was shot, and talked to him the next day and 17 times after that. But, you know, what I think, you know, about white suburban female voters, and I have a story coming out about this later on today, there is something in there that people aren't understanding, and that is the marriage gap.
Oh, yeah.
So if you are a female suburban voter, in particular under the age of 45, you voted for Trump. Wow. If you're married.
And if you're not married?
If you're not, it went the other way.
Well, the other thing, too, is, I mean, just getting into those numbers, because I have a little bit, the married versus unmarried, then you also have to go, particularly in the wealthier suburban enclaves, then you have to go to the married versus divorced and remarried, or just divorced. Right. You know, there are gradations there, because I don't know if you've heard, but divorce engenders a lot of anger. Sometimes there's a bit of transference. It seems to me, you know, this is my Fraser Crane psychoanalysis from afar, but there's a little bit of transference of the anger, maybe from the particular incident to their left-leaning politics, or to men in general. I don't know, but there is a divide even between the married and the unmarried, but those who are divorced.
Yes, and I also think we need to think about where the suburban voter is located, male or female. If they say there's two suburban voters, two males. Let's just say male. Two male suburban voters. They both went to Harvard. They were roommates. One went back home and lives in Western Pennsylvania or in Wisconsin or Michigan and has a successful career. The other one lives in the 10 counties that surround Washington, D.C. Where you live also impacts how you vote, right? And the concentration of sheepskins versus deerskins, right? People that hunt.
Yeah, yes.
So you know, counties matter. And a county in Virginia or in Maryland is not going to have the same electoral significance as a county in Pennsylvania or Wisconsin or Michigan or North Carolina or Arizona, right? You know, so those details matter as well.
Right. They're not going to have the significance because they don't have the same level of electoral competition, which reduces their significance. It's sort of like what we've seen in Illinois as it's, you know, there's that bandwagoning effect. You know, there's the Republican in Cook County. What's the point? Now it's like Republican in Illinois. What's the point? Because we've lost the collar counties as well.
Right. Exactly.
Now, in your article in the Washington Examiner, you introduced us to a man named Gino, and you're not using his last name, but he's a Democrat, but he doesn't understand his own party right now. So what are they doing to win over voters who left them?
Well, they're sort of at the hands of the National Party, and I also interviewed Rotini, and they're really frustrated because the National Democrats get all of the attention, right? Mm-hmm. And so you see the burning of Tesla cars and people applauding it or laughing at it, which is sort of an invisible nod to say, yes, this is okay. Mm-hmm. But they also see, you know, who has the loudest voices in their party. Well, it's Chris Murphy from Connecticut. It's AOC from New York. It is Jasmine Crockett from a very packed plus 28 D seat in Democrat seat in Texas. It's your governor. They are speaking for Democrats from states where they never have to once win over a Republican or an independent or a conservative Democrat to win a race. So therefore, their message is extraordinarily different than a Democrat from Pennsylvania. And they understand they're not winning hearts and minds with the message that is coming out from the National Party.
Yeah, it's really interesting because you had that that strategy session a couple weeks back. I think it was in Northern Virginia, hosted by Steve Jobs' widow, and it came out of that basically the idea was, let's not make a spectacle of ourselves as lunatics who are obsessed with men being in girls' spaces and so on and so forth. That's probably not a good path. The problem is there's really no space for that with where the critical mass of the party is, and with all guns trained on Trump and Musk, and the way that sort of feeds on itself to platform sort of increasingly intemperate performative events like that spill out into violence, as it almost always does. And what it seems to me they think, the Chuck Schumers of the world, is, well, we can just then, don the cloak of the moderate, of the peacemaker, of the conciliator. We need to bring this country together. So they want to exacerbate division, and then come the midterms, they're all going to be uniters and peacemakers. But I think that two-step is not working for them anymore. And I think there are more and more people that have tuned in long enough to understand the ruse that it is.
Right. So our cultural curators, what do I mean by that? People that are in charge of basically what filters what comes through our culture. Big media, corporations, institutions, academia, things like that. They have the sort of the cloak has been pulled away from their faces, and people can now see, and it's very transparent to them, that they are looked down upon. In particular among their own party. That is why the working class went to the Republican Party. The Democrats since 1930 had owned the working class, and it was called the New Deal Democrats. Mm-hmm. And they had owned them for almost 100 years. And they dropped the ball. They stopped. They became the party of the elite. And you never win an election unless you have the majority of the working class supporting your candidate.
Selena, I wanted to ask you about your new book that's coming out. I mean, you could pre-order it now, but it's coming out in July. Butler, The Untold Story of the Near Assassination of Donald Trump and the Fight for America's Heartland. We have a good friend of the show. He called in because he was at the rally in Butler, and he was behind Trump. And after the shooting, he had PTSD, couldn't sleep. And he said everything changed when Trump went back to Butler and had, kind of a do-over so that he finished. And he said that he felt so vindicated, so relieved. How did you feel when you went back for the second rally?
Well, so I went, I interviewed him that day, and he was, and you'll find this out in the book, but I will say he was very emotional that day. And it was almost like a revival at that event. Mm-hmm. I got out there at 5:30 in the morning because I had to do a hit on Fox News, and already the road to get in there was 3 miles long, backed up to traffic. It was pitch black, and I would argue that July 13th changed everything. The country changed after that day. Mm-hmm. And I think October 5th put a period on the end of that, if you had any doubt. And President Trump changed too, very much so. And obviously, I don't want to give the book away. I interviewed him a dozen more times after that. He called me the day after the shooting because I was just standing right by him in the buffer. I was supposed to fly with him to Bedminster to do an interview. And the first thing he did, I will tell you this, the first thing he did was call me the next morning and say, Selena, are you okay? Oh. And I was like, sir, you were the one who was shot. I'm okay. It went over my head, but I was not shot. So I think you can see through this book how he changed, but also how my state changed which is very reflective of things that would happen in Michigan and Wisconsin and Nevada and Arizona. Everything changed in that moment.
I think the left underestimated how iconic that moment was, particularly Trump's reaction after he was nearly assassinated. But my question to you is sort of your intuition, since you've been ahead of the learning curve here for a while. How sticky is support beyond Trump? In other words, let's say this adjustment period that he and Bessent have been talking about with respect to tariffs and the transition away from government funding money to actual real private sector investment. Let's say it's bumpier than they anticipated, and the economy doesn't chug along as well as they would hope and like. Do a lot of these Republicans of recent vintage, they probably stick with Trump for a good measure of time, maybe the rest of his term, regardless of what happens. But what about going forward? Do you think that this shift is happening, that is happening, is beyond cult of personality?
Oh, yeah, and definitely, because, and let's just talk about J.D. Vance for a second. He speaks he speaks very differently than Trump. He has a different perspective. He's from Appalachia. He went on to be very successful. He was in the Marines. He also understands the working class in a very intuitive way. And so, in terms of bumpy with Trump voters, I just spent 8 hours in a steel mill the other day. These voters aren't going anywhere, and they expect things to be bumpy. But, they understand there is a mess, and he is a man on a mission to clean up that mess. And cleaning up messes sometimes isn't a pretty scene, right? But they, I think if they continue to hold on to the working class, which I see that's what this party is doing, then going forward, they are the party to watch out for.
Selena Zito, national political reporter. You can always check out her latest reporting at selenazito.com. And again, the new book available in July 8th, but pre-order it now. Butler, The Untold Story of the Near Assassination of Donald Trump and the Fight for America's Heartland. Selena, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Have a great day.
Oh, thank you. Always a pleasure. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
That shot was money, Lisa. Hey, speaking of, did you ever figure out what to do with your parents' old coin collection?
Not yet. I need a reputable dealer to appraise them. I have no clue what they're worth.
I just finished working on my dad's estate collections. I took it all to Fox Valley Coins. Their customer service was the best. Plus, they're super honest and reputable, but most importantly, experienced. They'll give you the best prices.
Really? They handle estate collections?
Absolutely. Buying, selling, appraising, they do it all. It was quick and simple, and we maintained our privacy. Fox Valley Coins made the whole process easy.
That's exactly what I need. Are they local?
Right in Naperville. They have an easy website to remember. FoxValleyCoins.com.
Perfect. Now let's see if you can return this shot.
Whether buying or selling or just want valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your trusted gold and silver dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
AM 560, The Answer.
Always good having Selena Zito on. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Down Syndrome Awareness Day. That is today. We'll discuss it at 7:07.
Today it's going to be windy, a high of 56 degrees. It is now 7 a.m. WIND Chicago.
See you in court. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. The head of the American Federation of Teachers Union and others plan legal challenges to President Trump's order to dismantle the Department of Education.
Beyond these core necessities, my administration will take all lawful steps to shut down the department. We're going to shut it down and shut it down as quickly as possible. It's doing us no good. We want to return our students to the states.
The president says what he calls the department useful functions like assistance for low-income area schools, students with disabilities, and Pell Grants for college and other responsibilities will be handled by the states or other federal agencies. It'll take congressional approval to eliminate the department entirely. A new Fox News poll on some of the president's priorities has the education department shut down with 32% support.
26% say the U.S. should take over Greenland. Some proposals are much more popular, banning trans athletes in women's sports at 68% and acknowledging only two genders at 54%. On providing humanitarian aid globally, 39% say they should decrease. When it comes to birthright citizenship, 2 out of every 3 respondents say it should be extended to kids born in the U.S. to illegal immigrants. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Fire in London affecting hundreds of flights is reported to be under control, but still burning.
Heathrow Airport in London will be closed today after a fire caused a power outage. The airport saying in a statement that happened after an electrical substation that supplies the airport caught on fire. Residents in about 150 homes nearby were also evacuated. Passengers have been told to avoid the airport and to contact their individual airline for further details on new flight times. Chris DeMeo, Fox News.
The fighting's not over, but after 2 years, Sudan's military says it has recaptured the presidential palace in Khartoum from the rival paramilitary rapid support forces. The UN calls the war in Sudan the world's largest humanitarian crisis. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 33 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Tesla owners are expressing concerns over an online map. It shows a Molotov cocktail image as a cursor while sharing their personal information, including home addresses. This comes as activists angry at CEO Elon Musk have been vandalizing Teslas across the country. Launched earlier this week, the map also lists the details of Tesla dealerships and Trump administration members. A Southwest Airlines flight had to abort its takeoff from an Orlando airport on Thursday. An air traffic controller canceled the plane's takeoff clearance after the pilot mistakenly began to depart on a taxiway rather than the runway. Southwest said the plane stopped safely and returned to the gate and no one was injured. A murder investigation is underway after the body of a teenage girl was found in the playground on the west side. The remains of 16-year-old Kayla Love were discovered earlier this week at Horan Park on West Van Buren Street. Police say she suffered a severe head trauma and was stabbed several times. Cook County Crime Stoppers is planning to offer a reward up to $10,000 for information that leads to an arrest of a suspect. News is a service of the AM 560 store. Order t-shirts, hoodies, and more from your AM 560 brands, including Prop University and The Sean Thompson Show, when you go to 560theanswer.com/store.
When you need to talk about what's happening today.
Hey, can I talk to you for a second?
There's one place you can come to. The Sean Thompson Show.
Do it! Do it, I dare you! Do it!
Get in the conversation.
Everybody talks about that show. Sounds great, doesn't it?
Weekdays starting at 4.
This is easy!
I like his honesty and his frankness. Every day I listen to him, I learn.
He says what's on his mind. He's real.
Best person out there to listen to. We're combating people who prefer the lie.
He's Sean Thompson, only on AM 560. The Answer.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Meet Kelsey. When she found out she was pregnant, she wasn't sure where to turn. But after meeting with the counselors at a preborn network clinic who loved and supported her, and after hearing her baby's heartbeat on a free ultrasound, she chose life.
When a mother looks at her child through a sonogram, it does something to you. You know, I ended up deciding to keep my son, who is now 5 years old today. He's amazing. He brings absolute joy to my heart. I could not cannot imagine life without him.
By introducing a woman to her baby on ultrasound, a baby's chance at life doubles. If you have the means, would you consider a leadership gift to save babies in a big way? Your tax-deductible donation of $5,000 will sponsor Preborn's entire network for 24 hours, helping rescue 200 babies. To donate, dial pound 250, keyword baby. You can be able to say, I helped save a life through Preborn. Dial pound 250, keyword baby, or go to preborn.com/hope. Sponsored by Preborn.
This is Carol Platt, Liebau for townhall.com. The American left has embraced the cause of 26-year-old Mahmoud Khalil, the legal permanent resident who led the pro-Hamas activism at Columbia University. The left seems shocked that the Trump administration would want Khalil deported, but it's only common sense. Khalil is an outspoken Hamas sympathizer, and Hamas is a terrorist group. Any permanent resident can be deported if the State Department has grounds to believe his presence or activity has serious adverse foreign policy consequences. A Hamas sympathizer who incites wild protests on an American campus most certainly fits the bill. The American left continues to decry the supposed abridgment of Khalil's First Amendment rights. 5 years after their enthusiastic support for censoring fellow Americans who questioned the official COVID narrative, their tender concern for a terrorist sympathizer's speech rights defies belief. Good riddance to Mahmoud Khalil.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
In Crest Hill, US 30 accident Plainfield Road at Caton Farm. Elgin, US 20 reduced to 1 lane at State Street. Edens inbound, it's 30 minutes from Lake Cook to Montrose. The Kennedy Inn, 55 from O'Hare into downtown. It's that outbound Kennedy. It's heavy, and that's due to that road work between the Byrne Interchange and Kimball. Eisenhower in at 1 hour from the Jane Addams to Congress. 36 in from Wolf. Not too bad on the Stevenson inbound, 54 minutes from the Veterans. Dan Ryan already 30 minutes from 95th. Traffic is the surface of Woodland Windows and Doors. See Marvin Products in their beautiful showroom at the corner of Lake and Gary in Roselle, or visit woodlandwindows.com for a free in-home expert consultation. Reporting today from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Joanne Jeanette.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Some sunshine giving way to clouds, windy and not as cool today, high 59. Clouds and breezy, rain or snow shower tonight, low 31. A sunny, cool day tomorrow, the high 44. And then a shower or two on Sunday, breezy with the high at 49. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. March 21st is World Down Syndrome Day. 21st, Down syndrome, the extra copy of chromosome 21, unusual cell division that results in the Downs. And I mentioned this the other week that Gigi Gianni, who is the daughter of Nancy Gianni and the inspiration for Gigi's Playhouse, which is based in Hoffman Estates, but is at 61 locations around the world, serving people in 93 countries 2 decades after it was started by Nancy Gianni. I said that I mentioned that her daughter Gigi would be speaking before the United Nations on the occasion of World Down Syndrome Day. She spoke as part of the Center for Family and Human Rights panel on increasing support systems for individuals with Down syndrome. Gigi's 22 now. And this is how she challenged those in attendance and, frankly, the world over. What kind of world do you want to live in?
There are people who believe that babies like me should not be born. That Down syndrome is something bad, something that needs to go away. They think my life is not as valuable as others. But I'm here today to tell you the truth. My life does have value. And not just my life, all lives, including people with disabilities, are important. I want to ask you a question. What kind of world do you want to live in? Do you want a world where people are only accepted if they're perfect? Where children with differences are not given a chance? Or do we want a world that chooses love over fear, that sees the good in every person and understands that every life has purpose? I know what kind of world I want. I want a world that welcomes people like me.
What kind of world do you want? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. She went on to talk about what doctors tell their patients.
Many doctors tell the parents that a baby like me will suffer. That baby like me will never feel life. That the best choice is to end the pregnancy. That's not fair. It's not right. Doctors should be giving parents hope, not fear. They should be telling them about people like me, people who love deeply, who dream big, live with joy. People who, just like Hugo, have so much to give, only are given a chance. So today, I hate to say, please stop telling the world that people like me do not exist. Please stop telling the parents that their child life is not viable. Please stop treating Down syndrome like mistake, because I'm not mistake.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line.
Have you had the pleasure of meeting Gigi?
She made me cookies.
She did?
She makes great chocolate chip cookies in addition to being a podcaster and an author, and she's a dynamo, just like her mom, which is how this all came to be. It's an unbelievable story if you don't know the story of Gigi's Playhouse. And in full disclosure, I'm on the board now too, so factor that in however you want. But Nancy spoke. Her mom spoke as well after she spoke. Understandably a little emotional. Gigi, by the way, went through a PowerPoint talking more that she did. Talking more about this. So just in terms of, I just love the moral clarity from Gigi, and I love to see the people that are the most unfeeling about this issue say what they say in a vacuum to Gigi's face. I bet they couldn't.
No.
I bet they couldn't.
You think about Iceland, almost all diagnosed Down syndrome pregnancies are aborted.
Well, it's a majority in this country, too. And point is that, when you start to put a human face on things, put a human being on things, that is a blessing and not a burden, boy, it just makes the arguments that are advanced by so many who do traffic in unfairness, to borrow from Gigi, it makes them very difficult to cling to, I would think. Which is why people just try to avert their eyes and slink away. I'd love to see somebody stand up and try and go chapter and verse with Gigi Gianni. And I would have great sympathy for anyone who tried to go chapter and verse with Nancy.
Oh, my goodness. She had me going there. I'm sweating over here. Just seeing her come to this point and speaking for herself means everything to me, and I appreciate the kindness of everyone who's here today and took the time to listen to her. So proud of you.
And Nancy also spoke about the diagnosis when she learned that she was pregnant with Gigi, which I think is important to hear for people that are similarly situated or have gone through something like this as well, because what the fear may be and misunderstanding of the diagnosis initially, once that was eclipsed, look what it brought onto this planet. Gigi's Playhouse, 61 locations worldwide, serving people from 93 countries. Wow. $37 million in programming that is given away for free to similarly situated families around the world.
22 years ago, when my daughter Gigi was born, I had no idea she was going to change the world. But actually, when I look back on it, God had given me many signs that she would indeed change the world. Before I found out I was pregnant with Gigi, I became extremely outspoken, to the point of almost losing a client for my husband and friends for myself. I wondered why I was on this moral high horse and why I thought I deserved to be there. Then I found out I was pregnant. Excitedly, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this child already has a voice. My baby is going to change the world. I remember telling my husband, this baby's going to be the president or a world leader. She is already morally present and making me stand up for what is right from the womb. I guess I should not have been surprised when she was born with Down syndrome. At her birth, I was blindsided by her Down syndrome diagnosis and petrified for my family. The celebration was gone, and I was met with only condolences. They took good care of me medically, but they didn't have eye contact with me anymore, and they kept sending in the clergy. At one point, I asked if she was going to die, because that is what their reactions felt like. My biggest fear was, how would I explain this new life, this negativity about their beautiful sister, to my other kids? Once we got home and started living this new life, we saw that she was more like my other kids than she was different, and we wanted her celebrated. We wanted to take away the negativity of a Down syndrome diagnosis and show the world the tremendous potential individuals with Down syndrome had. But how would I do that? Then came the promise. When Gigi was 6 months old, I was carrying her to bed one night, and I could feel the weight of her low muscle tone. A weight she carries around every day, but you would never know existed due to her never-ending determination and the constant smile on her face. As I laid her in the crib, I made a promise to her that I would change the way the world saw her and all of her friends with Down syndrome, that I would help people see that they were so much more than just a diagnosis. That was it. I made the promise, and now I had to make it happen.
And make it happen she did.
I think what I'm most proud of is that 21 years later, Gigi still operates like an entrepreneurial startup.
And it got cut off, but $37 million nonprofit, all the services are given away for free. It's almost like a franchise concept for people unfamiliar. But if you have friends in any location that Gigi serve, and you know somebody who has a child with Down, then you want to familiarize yourself with Gigi's because it's an incredible resource and it continues to grow. And I'm not just doing an infomercial for Gigi's here. There's other nonprofits in this space that do great work as well. But this is really unique, and it warrants attention, not just in terms of the enterprise, but in terms of the underlying point, the point that Gigi made about what kind of world we want to live in.
And they're always looking for volunteers. I mean, I had a group of players. They went there and they had a blast. They could not stop talking how much fun. Oh, Coach Amy, we had so much. We played. They just started up a makeshift game of field hockey in a room and put up 2 baskets. And they said, I mean, they were all smiles when they came back from there. So it's really rewarding for them and for the people volunteering.
Mike and Hammond, John Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, guys. What Gigi said is correct with the doctors. My daughter has Down syndrome. She's 34 years old. When she was born, she had a bowel block and she needed to be rushed to Michael Reese. And doctors told us you could do nothing, just let her die. This is what they're telling. And at the moment where you're hit with all this information, so that's what they told us. And also the testing you're talking about, Dan, when they brought that up, she brought that up, the mom. Some of those are false positives. After she was my first child born, we didn't get any of the testing for any of my other kids because we didn't want to go through that thinking, you got a positive or something. And so we didn't. They insisted we do it. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. And all the kids didn't have Down syndrome, but they still, the way they look at it, they push it. And, the world is still pretty tragic with, you got countries that are boasting about eradicating Down syndrome first now. You got some Nordic countries that have boasted about it. Hey, we don't have any births anymore. Well, yeah, because you eradicate them. It's crazy. But yeah, we're doing an event in Crown Point today, off the square. We're going to a World Down Syndrome event there today. So that's all. I just want to share my story.
Very good. Appreciate you doing that. Thanks for the call, Mike. Well, I mean, that reminds me of something that Frank Stevens said. This is 8 years ago now, back in 2017. Frank Stevens is a gentleman with Downs, and testified before a congressional committee on this same issue. And he challenged members of Congress and those in the room the same way that Gigi challenged those in attendance at that United Nations event about what kind of world they want to live in, and that his life has value, just like Gigi's has value. In fact, it doesn't just have value, it has equal value to people that don't have Down syndrome. But Frank also made some additional points, too, that are worthy of contemplation when thinking about sort of this idea of treating it as an affliction that should just be eradicated by disposing of those with the alleged affliction.
Is there really no place for us in the world? Is there really no place for us in the NIH budget? On a deeply personal note, I cannot tell you how much it means to me that my extra chromosome might lead to the answer to Alzheimer's. It's likely that this thief will one day steal my memories, my very life, from me. This is very hard for me to say, but it has already begun to steal my mom from me. Please think about all those people you love, the way I love my mom. Help us make this difference. If not for me and my mom, then for you and the ones you love. Fund this research. Let's be America, not Iceland or Denmark. Let's pursue answers, not final solutions. Let's be America. Let's make our goal to be Alzheimer's free, not Down syndrome free. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Got a great text message. Dan and Amy, I sure wish the $2 billion in USAID funding went to Gigi's Playhouse instead of Stacey Abrams.
Or even the NIH research that Frank Stevens was testifying on behalf of some 8 years ago. Yeah, let's make America America again, like we've talked about in so many other ways over the last, just over the last election cycle, much less over the last decade. This is another way. Make America America again. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But what if you could get both? Why not? Especially when it comes to health care, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. And we know this from research of members. There's a lot they like about MediShare, but especially they love being part of something they believe in. And MediShare works, too. It has for more than 30 years. There are hundreds of thousands of members who love having telehealth if they need it. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or you're part of the gig economy or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Call 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE. 844-41-BIBLE.
All right, all across the country, states are embracing school choice and offering vouchers to family to send students to whichever school they want, including private schools like the state of Arizona. Unfortunately, lawmakers in Illinois have resisted this trend despite all the benefits of private education. Well, we have a solution if you want to send your child to a private school. It's called ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com. It's simple. Just visit ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com and tell us which private school you want to send your child to. Then we contact the school on your behalf and work to secure a voucher for half off the first year of tuition. typically saving thousands of dollars for families. The program only applies to new students who are not currently enrolled in the school. So if you've been considering sending your child to a private school and thought that it was financially out of reach, please go to chicagolandschoolvouchers.com to learn more and to start the process today. Excuse me. Again, that's chicagolandschoolvouchers.com.
When you need parts machined, think NJC for CNC.
NJC Machine Company is a CNC machine shop using computer software combined with old world craftsmanship, meaning whatever part or piece you need, it'll be done precisely and quickly, beating OEM pricing. Whether you need 1 or 1,000 parts, NJC uses experienced workmanship with state-of-the-art equipment for the finest and fast turnaround CNC milling, CNC turning, and 5-axis machining.
Think NJC for CNC.
A one-stop shop for everything from CNC machining, surface grinding, polishing, welding, and more. NJC has the finest array of capabilities to produce your parts from just about any material.
Think NJC for CNC.
Have a broken part? NJC can reverse engineer it. Get a quote today and discover unparalleled customer service. Just fill out the form online, upload your specs. NJC will reach out within 48 hours.
Go to njcmachine.com.
NJC Machine Company, your Illinois CNC shop.
That's njcmachine.com.
AM 560. The Answer.
Dan and Amy, let's take a couple more calls on the topic we were discussing, World Down Syndrome Day. Robert and Lyle, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi. Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I listen to your program. You guys are great. And I just wanted to say something. I go to the daily masses, and a lot of times I go over to St. Peter and Paul in Naperville, and they have a person there that's an altar server that is a down person, and it's a great enhancement. And from what I've seen, whenever I go into church or other places too, the families are always very, very closely knit.
Mm-hmm.
And they all care deeply about each other. And you can see the love, and that's a great witness to the community of anybody that had what, if you want to call it, an affliction. I don't think. Well, who knows? God will bring everything to fruition when He comes. But I'm just saying, I believe that the families and everybody that have this are really a great witness to other people.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks for the call, Robert. You definitely see that. That's a good observation. But I mean, people with disabilities, as I say often, reflection of our humanity or lack thereof. Sometimes we probably don't like what's reflecting back, or we shouldn't. Tom in Oswego.
Morning, Dan and Amy. Back in the early 80s, I was a counselor for learning disability and behavioral disability children. I know they weren't Down syndrome, but the challenges that they overcame, the joy, I just want people to know that these children taught me more about myself than I could ever teach them about life. And I hope that we all embrace just the joy that these kids have and the way they accept the challenge and overcome it. I wish we could all do that. And Dan and Amy, on a separate note, if you don't mind me saying, you know me, I have a son-in-law that we're trying to get from Mexico to be reunited with well, guess what? He's here.
Oh, finally.
Oh, congratulations.
That only took 3 years, right?
It's been 904 days.
Oh, my gosh.
And 2 weeks ago, we met him at O'Hare, and he is now here legally and reunited with my daughter and my grandson. So, but the Down syndrome children, they can teach us so much. I wish we would open our eyes and our hearts to these kids.
Absolutely. Thanks for the well said, Tom, all the way around. Congratulations on the son-in-law getting over here and reuniting. But totally right. They're a source of joy and they and sort of togetherness. They're sort of a magnet for togetherness. Some of these people with disabilities, Down, other disabilities in terms of family and friend circle. I mean, I wish I had half as much love of life as Gigi has. I mean, an enthusiasm for it. So 100%. Very good. I appreciate the calls. Coming up at 7:37, we turn ourselves to the business of war and peace, starting in Eastern Europe when Cliff May, Foundation of the Defense of Democracies, joins us at 7:37.
And don't forget Open Mic Friday later on. But now let's head into the newsroom. Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 33 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The European Union's delaying the first retaliatory tariffs on the U.S. goods. The tariffs will now go into effect in mid-April to allow for more time for negotiations. Tariffs on U.S. goods such as whiskey and clothing were set to be implemented on April 1st. The EU had announced the tariffs in response to President Trump's decision to place tariffs on European aluminum and steel. An EU spokesperson said the slight change in timeline will not diminish the impact of the EU's response. Governor Pritzker is blasting President Trump's executive order to dismantle the Department of Education. Pritzker released a statement saying eliminating the Department of Education will likely have harsh and immediate impacts on Illinois students, especially students and their families in rural communities who rely on federal funding to keep their schools open. The governor says that Trump's order will lead to potential cuts to federal education funding, special education funding, Pell Grants, and student loan programs. This news update's delivered to you by Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdeliveryservice.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes. Ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery.
Charlie Kirk believes being in America is a privilege, not a right.
Would we have let this man into our country in the first place, knowing he was a public Hamas propagandist who participates in illegal protests? Staying in America is not a right. It is a privilege. And Mahmoud Kamil threw this privilege away.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Hugh Hewitt at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484. MyPillow is excited to announce that they're extending the mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save $40 on the new spring MyPillow bed sheets, any size and any color. Save 30% on their brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one Mike has worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get the 6-piece bath or kitchen towel sets for only $29.98. The initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And the best-selling standard MyPillow, just $14.98. To take advantage of the Mega Sale 2.0, go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201. But that's not all. You'll get free shipping on orders over $75. Once again, call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY or visit MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Xumo Play.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Crash on I-57 inbound at CalSag Channel. I-80 eastbound, this is solid from Humboldt Road to Larkin. Kennedy outbound, it's just jammed. It's from Burn Interchange out to Kimball. Slow again from California to Montrose. Downtown out to O'Hare. Hour and 35 minutes. The inbound Kennedy, it's running an hour and 10. Still have that water main break on US 6 in Lake County. After I-80 94, the whole roadway blocked and shut down till this morning at 11. Traffic is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? With a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. Reporting this morning from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Joanne Jeanette.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Sunshine to start, then some clouds, windy, not as cool, high 59. Clouds and breezy, rain or snow shower tonight, low down to 31. A sunny, cool day tomorrow, the high 44. Showers, a breezy day on Sunday, the high at 49. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Well, there's a partial ceasefire in Eastern Europe. What will come of the ongoing negotiations between Trump and Putin, and Trump and Zelensky, and Trump and Zelensky and Putin? Let's start there with our friend Cliff May, president of the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies and foreign affairs columnist for the Washington Times. Cliff, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good to be with you, Dan and Amy.
So give us your assessment of what, if any, progress has been made and where you suspect it will lead.
Yeah, initially I thought maybe we had a baby step towards a ceasefire. That's not the same thing as peace, but it's okay. Ceasefire would be good. I think that's a baby step is sort of an exaggeration. Basically, what you heard from Putin to Trump was there are concessions you have to make if you want me to go into a ceasefire. And they're serious concessions, things that will weaken Ukraine so I can defeat Ukraine in time. The ceasefire on energy infrastructure, it never really happened. I had tweeted not long after I saw that hospitals and kindergartens, I guess, was still fair game. And indeed, within hours, Putin had hit a hospital and he'd knocked the electricity out, as I understand it, for an entire city. It's just not true. Here's what has to happen. President Trump is very tough on Zelensky, said, I'm not giving you a security guarantee where you're going to accept with no conditions the idea of a ceasefire, a 30-day ceasefire. We'll have negotiations in that time. If President Trump wants Putin to accept a ceasefire, he will have to do what he did with Zelensky. He will have to pressure him. He has the cards, shall we say, to do that. He needs to play the cards. There are very serious sanctions he can impose. At my research institute, the Foundation for Defense of Democracy, we've come up with a list of very good ones that would be very tough on his economy. He could do that. He could also increase the flow of weapons and get rid of the restrictions that Biden put on the use of those weapons for hitting targets inside Russia. If he puts pressure on Putin, Putin will go along. He may actually want to, without admitting to, because he is low on weapons himself, low on bodies that he uses to pave Ukrainian soil. So a ceasefire is possible, but only if Trump gets tough with Putin, as he was with Zelensky.
Well, Ukraine's economy is 10% smaller than pre-war levels. A quarter of its citizens are displaced. 15% of them have left the country entirely. Graham Allison, writing in foreignpolicy.com, not that this is a Bible or anything, but he argues that it's time for Zelensky to accept the reality of an ugly peace. Among other things, he needs to understand the geographical fact that the 1,400-mile border that Ukraine shares with Russia means that Ukraine cannot escape the shadow of Russian power any more than Canada or Mexico can with the United States. And the alternative to hot war cannot be a quote-unquote just and lasting peace that Zelensky dreams of, whatever that would look like. So do we have Zelensky now fully in the fold and recognizing that he is going to be tasked to accept something that will feel very, in many ways, will probably feel very empty given the damage that has been inflicted on Ukraine, both economically as well as physically among its populace?
I don't think so. Look, Ukraine is a sovereign and independent country. It has borders. It's a member of the UN. It has relations with the U.S. It has a unique culture. Putin's goal is to crush it, to destroy it as a sovereign and independent country, to destroy it as a unique culture, to make it Russian. That's why they've stolen Ukrainian children, dragged them back to Russia, where they are brainwashing them that you are not Ukrainian, you are only Russian. I think it's probable, if you want to be realistic, that Ukraine will, at the end of the day, lose territory, 18% that right now Russia occupies. But the goal here is that this remains an independent country, not a colony, not a vassal state. The idea that the way we treat Canada is the way Putin would treat Ukraine is absolutely ludicrous. Look at Belarus, which is essentially a vassal state. Look at the two provinces of Georgia that Putin took over in 2008. One of the basis of international law, and international law only exists if the U.S. defends it, is that you don't use aggressive military to take over, to change borders and to take over another country. Now, Russia's going to change borders here. They've got the east. It's probably impossible to get that. But if at the end of the day Putin doesn't succeed and Ukraine remains an independent nation and it has its own political system, it's not kissing the ring of a former lieutenant colonel of the KGB in the Kremlin, then that's a kind of success. And we should at least want that, as opposed to say, oh, what the hell, let Russia take. Because let me tell you something. If Russia takes Ukraine, why wouldn't Russia take Moldova? Oh, people don't care about that. Why wouldn't they take Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia? Well, as it happens, those three are NATO members. We have an Article 5 obligation to defend them. If we don't defend them, NATO collapses. I know there are people who say, let NATO collapse. What do we care? We don't need allies. We have oceans on either side of us. It's no problem. We don't need anybody, and we don't want to do anything for anybody, even give them weapons to fight against a common enemy. And people should also understand that Putin is in a no-limits partnership with Xi Jinping, the head of the strongest communist party in his history. Both are in a diplomatic, economic, military alliance with Ali Khamenei in Tehran and Kim Jong-un in North Korea. Now, if nobody can connect the dots, that's too bad. That's kind of pretty stupid. We've had that in various times in history. But it's kind of sad to see that people writing for foreign policy cannot connect those dots.
So for people who are not saying withdraw from NATO, who are not saying that we should be indifferent to Russia conquering Ukraine, which I think is where a lot of people on the center right are, but just sort of like just castigating those who would suggest NATO and Ukraine are not particularly relevant doesn't address the underlying problem in Eastern Europe, which is what is the ugly piece that Zelensky is willing to accept and what he needs to be prepared to accept. I heard what you said in terms of not being a vassal state, something where they lose territory, but they remain an independent state. And maybe we have an economic arrangement that enhances their security. Maybe there are other things that the Western world can do to further enhance it. But from the beginning of this and America's role in it, particularly from some of the most the most flag waving of the Ukrainian advocates, we never heard a plan. We didn't get
the plan. I'll give you the plan.
So what is the plan now? What is the plan now with the reality on the ground?
Yeah, the reality on the ground is called a frozen conflict. That's what it is. You say, Trump said what he has said, I want a ceasefire, I want it now. I pressured Zelensky into saying, okay, a ceasefire, even though he wasn't happy about it. Now I'm going to pressure Putin into a ceasefire. And that ceasefire means you freeze the conflict. The 18% of eastern Ukraine that Russia holds, they will continue to hold. Okay? Now, you will probably, the British and the French, very good for them, are saying we'll send in peacekeepers to help make sure that's the case. Trump has said, good for him, there is a nuclear plant in Ukraine. We can run it. I was very glad to hear him say that, because what he means to say is, if we run that plant, we're running that plant for Ukraine, not for Russia. So that province and that nuclear plant, that stays in Ukraine, and we're going to help make sure that's the case. How long can a frozen conflict stay frozen? Well, between North Korea and South Korea, there is a frozen conflict. That's not peace, what you see there. Kim Jong-un looks south and thinks, one day I will take that. He doesn't, because the Americans won't let him. That frozen conflict, well, that began in 1953, so it's 72 years old. So the frozen conflict would mean that the independence of Ukraine would remain, and they would still be a democratic country, which they are, and they wouldn't report to the Kremlin. And we would have trade relations with them, including on rare earth minerals, which the president wanted and is going to get. And the Europeans would spend the money to buy American weapons so that Ukraine becomes what they call a porcupine, very hard for a predator to swallow. And the Europeans can also use, I would recommend this, people like historian Neil Ferguson have said, there's $300 billion or so of frozen Russian funds in Western Europe that could be used for rearmament and reparations. So in other words, Putin doesn't get to simply make a colony out of a neighbor while we sit back and watch and say, it's too bad. It's kind of ugly, isn't it? And again, it's not. This is not the end of Putin's ambitions. Putin was never threatened by Ukraine. Putin was never threatened by NATO. Belgian soldiers were not marching towards Moscow. That's all nonsense.
And so that
restoration of the empire.
So that's a plan, and that what you just laid out. Okay, that's about as much detail as I've heard from anybody, which I appreciate. That's okay. That's substantive. But now what do you say if you're on the negotiating team, and Putin is not being brought to heel and accept something like you just described? Then what would you recommend Trump do to put pressure on him?
Again, his economy is suffering. You can make it suffer a great deal more. He has only one source of revenue, that's oil. The Europeans stopped buying that oil entirely. They haven't wanted to, but they can. And it helps that right now we have an energy dominance council here in the U.S. that we're going to create a lot more energy. We're going to sell LNG overseas, which Biden didn't want to do. We can squeeze his economy very badly. That's the easiest and the first thing, and he'll say, I can't let my economy totally crash. I have no revenue. I can't spend money on the war. I have no money to pay the pensions of the old people here. That you can absolutely do. Again, the other thing is, and Trump is doing this, by the way. He is sending intelligence. He is sending weapons. The Europeans can get much more. Eventually, Ukraine can have what it didn't have 3 years ago, which is a deterrent capability. Why didn't it? Because Obama wouldn't give lethal weapons to Ukraine, and Biden didn't want to give lethal weapons to Ukraine until after the invasion. Trump did. Trump gave javelins to Ukraine.
Right. He mentions it all the time.
Javelins are a defensive weapon. They knock out the tanks that were heading for Kiev. And what were they going to do in Kiev? They were going to assassinate the president of the country who had been elected in free and fair elections. And I know that's true because I was an election observer for those elections.
Oh, wow. Well, what's the latest with the U.S. getting Ukrainians rare minerals as a form of payment? Is that going to be put on hold until this is all resolved?
Well, you got to have a ceasefire before you start going in and sending people in to do mining, of course. And President Trump knows that. That's long range. Again, the weapons can be paid for by the Europeans, by the money that Russia has in Europe. As far as the weapons we've been supplying so far, it's 2.8% of the Pentagon budget, 2.8%, not 28%, 2.8%. For that, America's number two adversary has been diminished. Thousands of its tanks destroyed, a lot of damage done. There's no better investment you can name for 2.8% of the defense budget than that. And we've woken up to the fact that our defense industrial base is not producing weapons the way we need to, and certainly the way we need to if we are the arsenal of democracy and helping other countries. And it's a matter of money. It can be paid for by the Europeans. The Germans can write checks. They don't have good tanks. They don't have good troops ready to roll, but they have good checkbooks.
Turning to the Middle East, this was interesting. So, of course, Trump launched those strikes on Houthi terrorists in Yemen who are disrupting global shipping. And then the Times of Israel reported yesterday that the U.S. has asked Israel not to respond to an overnight missile attack by the Iranian-backed Houthis. The request comes as the U.S. has carried out these widespread strikes against the Houthis in recent days. So if Trump doesn't want Israel to respond, is that because he's teeing up a couple of Moabs for the Houthis?
I don't think it's Moabs, but I think he thinks, you know what, Biden's strategy was odd. He kept shooting down the arrows and not shooting the archers. In terms of why was he doing that? That's an expensive way to do it, because we were shooting down the arrows with much more expensive intercepts. So he's saying, no, let's go after the Houthis themselves, and that's a very good idea. And he says, well, we're going to take care of this. Everybody says nobody can take care of the Houthis, this ragtag band. He says, I can take care of the Houthis. And he's also telling the Iranians, who are doing what? Supplying the arrows. The Houthis do not manufacture and drones in Yemen. They get them from the Iranians. At some point, Biden should have rubbled one of those factories. I think Trump is certainly considering doing that if he sees that these missiles are continuing to flow. He can also hit them as they flow. They go in two directions. One is overseas. You can stop the boats, maybe sink the boats that are delivering them. The other is they go through Oman. Oman is meant to be a friend of the U.S. They should be told very strictly, you are not to allow this on your territory. Do not allow missiles through your territory to go to Yemen, where they shoot at naval vessels 174 times over the last year and commercial vessels 145 times over the last year. You don't do that, or you're going to be sorry, because they're going to get blown up on your territory, and you'll need to clean up the mess. Now, so in other words, Trump is taking seriously the Houthis and wants to get done with them, and he also understands that they are the last really fairly strong proxy of the Islamic Republic of Iran. So Trump has said, I'll take care of that myself. The Israelis, you don't worry about that. Meanwhile, the Israelis, thanks to Trump, are back into Gaza, trying to once and for all destroy Hamas as a military or political entity.
Cliff May is the president of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies and foreign affairs columnist for the Washington Times. Cliff, thank you as always.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Robert Anderson, president of McLaughlin Body Company in the Quad Cities, and a customer of Signature Bank. When our 100-year-old family-owned manufacturing company was looking for a new bank, we found an excellent partner with Signature Bank. Signature Bank understands the challenges with manufacturing in today's highly competitive environment. We recently participated in the New Markets Tax Credit Program and were fortunate to have the experts at Signature Bank help us navigate the complexities of this program. With Signature Bank's support, we were able to expand not only our facility, but ultimately our business. If you're looking for a trusted banking partner for your business, look to Chicago's own Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher inviting you to join me on the Patriots Alaska Cruise this summer, along with Larry Elder, Joe Piscopo, Jennifer Horn. Enjoy Alaska's breathtaking beauty like never before. Text the keyword travel to 94878 to reserve your stateroom today. This luxury trip is your chance to experience majestic scenery, patriotism, adventure. We sail August 16th through the 23rd. Reserve your stateroom today. Text travel to 94878. That's travel to 94878.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
President Trump has made some pretty amazing claims since he's taken his seat as president. He's delivering on what he promised. On Inauguration Day, Trump's very first declaration was,
"The golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish."
Consider this. Since the election, gold has shot up hundreds of dollars per ounce, shattering all-time record highs. Fox Valley Coins does not pretend to know the future, but they do know that if you're buying or selling gold or silver, they are the place to do it. These are some of the top reasons people choose a dealer. You want a national dealer with a local presence you can deal with face-to-face. You want a large selection, the best prices, and great service. You want to walk in with cash and walk out with the best product. You want to deal with legacy dealers with integrity. Whether buying or selling or just one valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your answer for choosing a dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
Did you know that AM 560 Radio has a full-service digital marketing division called Salem Surround? If you're a business decision maker, listen up. AM 560 listeners are everywhere your potential audience is. So are our incredible targeting capabilities. We localize digital marketing and put it within reach of every business, small and large, in Chicagoland and beyond. Salem Surround offers AI-powered marketing solutions that reach your ideal audience. Whether or not you tap into the proven live, local, and emotional connection that AM 560 Radio brings, Salem Surround offers a total marketing solution to our partners. All-in-one digital solutions that provide targeted local digital and social media ads, Google AdWords management, website services, video strategy, search optimization, and even a management dashboard to offer you total campaign updates and transparency. Your Salem Surround representative is located right here in Chicago. Experience the Salem Surround digital revolution today. Call 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951.
AM 560, The Answer.
It's cruel summer. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah. You had a Bananarama College band, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. I was in Hubie and the Janitors.
That was a Bananarama cover band?
No, we did a lot of covers. We were just a girl band. You know what I mean? Like, we would do the Bangos, the Go-Go's, whatever. It's actually on
Erasure.
YouTube. It's on YouTube. I'm not kidding
George.
you.
Yeah.
Somebody put together.
You mean the Janitors?
Yeah, somebody put together. I think it was Keith, the guitarist. the lead guitarist. I think he put, and I can't remember his last name, which is awful, but he put together a montage. Oh, sorry. 8 o'clock.
Deportation
WIND
demands. I'm Chris Foster of Fox News. A federal judge in Washington scheduled to hear arguments today about using the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to deport immigrants accused of being violent gang members, and deportation flights the judge had ordered to be stopped or turned around.
The DOJ did not respond to a series of 5 questions that a judge wanted answered yesterday about the deportation flights about alleged Tren Aragua members. The DOJ telling Fox that questioning of sensitive national security information is inappropriate judicial overreach. So the Justice Department instead invoked the State Secrets Act. Now, by 10 a.m. today, District Court Judge James Boasberg has ordered for a cabinet-level administration official to explain why more information on those flights of alleged gang members cannot be revealed. The judge fired back on that, writing, quote, "The government again evaded its obligations. This is woefully insufficient."
Fox's Alexandria Haas. Some of those men deny being in a gang. There's a hearing expected today as well in the case of a Columbia University protest leader in custody in Louisiana, ordered to be deported.
Khalil was born and raised in Syria. He came to the U.S. on a student visa in 2022 to get his master's at Columbia University. He married his wife, a U.S. citizen, in 2023 and became a green card holder last year. He led massive protests on the Ivy League campus last spring. The Trump administration considers him a national security threat and said that during these protests, pro-Hamas propaganda flyers were handed out, a group designated as a terrorist organization.
Fox's Brooke Taylor in Jennett, Louisiana. There's a protest planned at the Education Department in D.C. this hour about President Trump's order to dismantle the department, saying states will do a better job.
I could say 40 states. I want to bring it back. 10 states won't be perfect. 5 states will be probably not so good.
Canadian Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth made joint remarks at the White House this morning. They deny a New York Times report that Elon Musk will be briefed on secret war plans for China today at the Pentagon. America's listening to Fox News.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It's 35 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President Trump wants the Department of Education eliminated. During the signing of an executive order aimed at dismantling the department, Trump said everyone knows it's the right thing to do after looking at test scores of U.S. children.
After 45 years, the United States spends more money on education by far than any other country, yet we rank near the bottom of the list in terms of success.
Trump says the states want back control.
Absolutely, it's going to work, and I can tell you from dealing with the governors and others in the state, they want it so badly. They want to take their children back and really teach their children.
And he wants to return the power to the states.
We're going to be returning education very simply back to the states where it belongs, and this is a very popular thing to do, but much more importantly, it's a common sense thing to do.
Education Secretary Linda McMahon will have to get congressional approval to officially abolish the department. Cleanup is underway after a strong series of storms moved through the Chicago area. The National Weather Service confirms an EF1 tornado touchdown in Gary, Indiana. The powerful twister damaged homes, uprooted utility poles, and left live power lines on the ground. News is a service of AlmostTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com, making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes, but now time for the Signature Bank Business Beat.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stock futures are losing ground after yesterday's rally. European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde is warning this morning that tariffs will weaken growth and fuel inflation. The Swiss National Bank cut rates today. The Federal Reserve left interest rates unchanged yesterday and suggested 2 rate cuts are still expected this year. President Trump is calling for the Fed to lower rates sooner. Darden Restaurants, Olive Garden's parent company, says its recent quarter was solid and several brands set records during the holidays and on Valentine's Day, though the company says it delivered profitable sales growth in a challenging environment. Darden also owns Longhorn Steakhouse, Yard House, Ruth's Chris, Capitol Grill, among other brands. The stock's narrowly lower. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola. Invested in you.
Mike Gallagher says there will be growing pains.
When you cut your wasteful spending, look at it in your own life. If you go from spending like a drunken sailor to putting yourself on a budget, it's going to hurt. You're used to all the things you got when you were spending like a drunken sailor. But all of this is the right thing to do. You know it, and I know it.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
MyPillow is excited to announce that they're extending the mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save $40 on the new spring MyPillow bed sheets, any size and any color. Save 30% on their brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one Mike has worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get the 6-piece bath or kitchen towel sets for only $29.98. The initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And the best-selling standard MyPillow, just $14.98. To take advantage of the Mega Sale 2.0, go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201. But that's not all. You'll get free shipping on orders over $75. Once again, call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY, or visit MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY.
Hey, you want to hear some great news? Preborn is bringing babies back to life. What you might not be aware of is that even though Roe has been overturned and abortion has been greatly restricted in many states, the abortion pill has now superseded surgical abortions, accounting now for 60% of these deaths. Preborn's network of clinics are on standby for women in their darkest hour, and when they meet them with God's love and free service to help them choose life, including a treatment that counteracts the toxic abortion pill, these life-saving and heart-changing measures, Preborn and their network clinics have rescued over 330,000 babies' lives. But the work has just begun, and every day thousands of babies' lives hang in the balance. Your tax-deductible donation of any amount is crucial in the fight and the heartbeat of our nation. Will you help us? All proceeds will go towards life. Just dial pound 250, pound 250, and say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, keyword baby. Or donate securely at preborn.com/hope. That's preborn.com/hope. Sponsored by Preborn.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Crash on I-57 inbound at CalSag Channel. I-80 eastbound. This is solid from Humboldt Road to Larkin. Kennedy outbound. It's just jammed. It's from Byrne Interchange out to Kimball. Slow again from California to Montrose. Downtown out to O'Hare. Hour and 35 minutes. The inbound Kennedy, it's running an hour and 10. Still have that water main break on US 6 in Lake County after I-80 94. This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Springfest savings start now. Get up to 40% off select major appliances, plus save an additional $100 for every $1,000 you spend on select major appliances. Valid now through April 2nd. Selection varies by location while supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details. Reporting today from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Joanne Jeanette.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Some sunshine giving way to clouds, windy and not as cool today, high 59. Clouds and breezy, rain or snow shower tonight, low 31. A sunny, cool day tomorrow, the high 44. And then a shower or two on Sunday, breezy with the high at 49. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We brought you, or re-brought you, the story of Mina Svard earlier in the week because the former Swedish collegiate 400-meter hurdler wrote a piece in the Wall Street Journal reminding people that she was the first high-profile woman to have a championship title taken away from her by a man pretending to be a woman in the 400-meter hurdles in the NCAA division. I think it was NCAA championship.
Yeah, it was, and those
Division
hurdles
II athlete
are 4 inches shorter than the men's hurdles.
C.C. Telfer, the man who beat her, wrote a book, profiled in the New York Times. She wrote in the Wall Street Journal, I don't expect I'll ever be profiled in a fawning magazine feature, but I did accomplish one thing that will always fill me with pride. In 2019, I was the fastest 400-meter hurdler at any NCAA Division II school. It's been 5 years since that honor was stolen from me, and I want it back. The Swedes are coming for their honors. Mina Svard went on Fox to talk to Bill Helmer to provide more color on this.
No one is trying to eradicate them. The only thing we want is fairness for us women. We are the ones that are having to go through being treated unfairly within our sports. I don't understand why anyone else's feelings, why we as women have to suppress our feelings to make other people feel better. That's not okay.
Yeah,
we have been quiet for long enough with the NCAA keeping us silent and bullying us to staying silent and being okay with the situation that they have created. So no, it's time for us to speak up and actually tell people about how we feel and what we've been going through. I don't know how it ends. All I know is that I have found, great support and a great community in the Independence Council of Women's Sports. So at this point, I'm leaning towards them, and I want to do whatever I can in the lawsuits for Riley Gaines and all the other female athletes that are brave enough to actually go through with this and to push this issue forward. So yeah, I just want to keep fighting with them and stand by their side and show my support, because females, we do deserve to, compete at a level playing field and to get the same opportunities as men.
Yeah, it's a fairly commonsensical position that's been argued for a long time, and it seems to be gaining more favor finally. As I said, I think Trump has moved the Overton window on this issue and other cultural issues. For more on the topic of the cultural issues, pleased to be joined again by Lionel Shriver, best-selling author and columnist. Her most recent book, Mania, a novel. Lionel Shriver, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Always nice to talk to you, Ken.
So where do you think the quote-unquote culture wars are now, the issues of race and gender identity?
I think we're winning, if I may presume to include us in the same camp.
Mm-hmm.
But it's tempting to jump the gun and assume that common sense is prevailing and all that nonsense is behind us. I know I tend to just leap to the conclusion that, well, thank goodness, reason has returned and we're okay. And what was that about? I think the whole forces of wokeism are in retreat. They're on the defensive. But all the people who have been profiting off of this hysterical perspective are still in positions of power. And that's across institutions, and we know what they are: the universities, the charities, the foundations, museum boards, and not to mention the media. They haven't changed their mind about most of this stuff. And, on the whole business of men competing in women's sports, for example, that's still going to be quite a fight, and some of this stuff is going to end up in the courts, as everything Trump is doing is bound to. I mean, I'm very interested in how this era we've just lived through, and I fear is not quite over, how it's going to be viewed historically. Maybe it will be forgotten altogether, because lots of things are. But nevertheless, I have a feeling that if this era is remembered, it's going to be looked back on as one big mania. That's why my last book is titled Mania, because we've been going through a perpetual cycle of social hysteria on one issue after another.
Well,
careening. Careening from.
I think it's going to be seen as a kind of collective insanity, and the people who have been arguing against this stuff, as I have for close to 10 years, and I have plenty of admirable company on that front. We're going to be the ones who look like the sane people, and the opposition is going to look nuts.
Well, as we've careened from one moral panic to the other, most have been identitarian related, but not all. I guess it became a sort of identity. I mean, COVID is the big outlier. And of course, because these moral panics bookend COVID, because I think we're still very much in an identitarian one, because they bookend COVID, I don't think that this period will be forgotten just because of COVID itself, and then you're going to look at the contextual factors, and all these identitarian moral panics are the context.
Right. I mean, COVID, for example, you won't be able to recall it historically without remembering what happened with the Black Lives Matter movement after the George Floyd killing. So, that's of a piece, and I think that it has had the movement as a whole has had such an enormous effect on education and on the arts. I'm ashamed to say that I have a feeling it will at least be a blip, a small chapter in the history books. The thing is that when shameful things happen to your own culture, you often play them down. And I believe this is a shameful thing. This has been a period when everyone got with the program. They parroted a lot of nonsense. They said exactly what they were supposed to. It has been an era of mass conformity, and if not conformity, then complicit silence.
So today, Colombia has, until today, to ban masks and clamp down on anti-Israel protests. $400 million hangs in the balance there. And then the Trump administration is pausing $175 million in federal funding to University of Pennsylvania over its transgender athletic policies. Do you think the money is going to persuade them to stop this?
I think it's the best way to manipulate them, yes. I mean, what do they care about? What do most institutions care about? I think that the money is going to have to precede a change of heart, because the change of heart is going to be very difficult to accomplish. Some of these people are just going to be waiting out the Trump era. Like, oh, Trump can only be president for 4 years, and then on the other side of it, we can go back to being lunatics again.
Exactly, which is why I don't think there should be a carrot and stick. It should just be the stick. Just strip the money for prior bad acts, and the belief that the bad acts will continue, the beatings will continue until morale improves on the campus of Columbia. So I don't like that approach. I mean, it's better than obviously formally subsidizing it, but you're informally subsidizing because you're not changing these people. That's why I thought that your piece in The Spectator, where you sort of ask the question of yourself, am I a culture war addict? I thought it was good, because I think because people are just coming to this, or feeling like they're comfortable coming to some of these issues and speaking out without the fear of immediate reprisals, even from some of these institutions that are controlled by the same people. People are already starting, boy, am I spending too much time on this? I'm a little war weary from these cultural from this cultural combat. I mean, for goodness sakes, we just started. I mean, the reason that we got to this place of lunacy that you're describing is because so many people were spectators and were cowered into silence. I mean, the fight is just now starting. It is not nearing its conclusion.
Yes. And I think you're quite right that the vast bulk of of people who were even paying attention allowed this to happen. It was led by a very small number of people, a shrill minority, but nobody shut them up, and they were allowed to run rampant. And this whole phenomenon I find very distressing because it shows how societies go insane, especially post-COVID, when whole countries decided that they would abdicate every civil right they'd ever had, literally overnight. I've come to the conclusion that you can get large groups of people to believe practically anything, as long as you convince them that everyone else thinks that too.
Yep. That perfectly defines COVID.
And what's your? I mean, I know that you moved in the not too distant past from the UK to Portugal. What's your handle on what's happening in Western Europe? Are we starting? I mean, are we seeing any sort of retrenchment going on there, like we're seeing? I mean, maybe not to the extent, of course, with Trump, but any sort of retrenchment in the direction that you see America going?
I think both the UK and Europe are behind the U.S. in getting a grip. Of course, the biggest issue that faces Europe and what is dividing the populace is that of immigration, both legal and illegal. And in Europe, it's often abundantly Muslim immigration, which introduces an extra complicating factor. So there's a religious difference as well as an ethnic one. And that's what's messing up Europe. And it's really beyond the woke business. It's beyond the kind of nitpicking racialist conflicts that we've been having in the U.S. It is very primitive about whether or not the dominant culture survives, because they are bringing in so many people from very different cultures and too fast, so that they don't assimilate, they don't integrate with the mainstream, and so I think that's what they're caught up in politically much more than men and women's sports, for example.
Lionel Shriver, best-selling author, most recently of Mania, a novel. Lionel, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Always enjoy talking to you.
Yeah, thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank that cares about your business and is invested in your success. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Chris Johnson, CEO of Classic Cinemas and proud customer of Signature Bank. We are a local family-owned business that is known for free refills on all sizes of popcorn, soft drinks, and ices. With over 9,000 heated recliners in 16 locations, we marry the traditions of the past with today's state-of-the-art technology. Throw in a 30-minute guarantee and an after-movie mint, and you have the perfect night out. As we strive to make every guest our priority, Signature Bank does the same with their customers. The team at Signature Bank is interested in taking my company forward. They have all the resources and solutions of the big banks, but they customize their offerings to meet my business needs. The customer always comes first with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. The American left has embraced the cause of 26-year-old Mahmoud Khalil, the legal permanent resident who led the pro-Hamas activism at Columbia University. The left seems shocked that the Trump administration would want Khalil deported, but it's only common sense. Khalil is an outspoken Hamas sympathizer, and Hamas is a terrorist group. Any permanent resident can be deported if the State Department has grounds to believe his presence or activity has serious adverse foreign policy consequences. A Hamas sympathizer who incites wild protests on an American campus most certainly fits the bill. The American left continues to decry the supposed abridgment of Khalil's First Amendment rights. 5 years after their enthusiastic support for censoring fellow Americans who questioned the official COVID narrative, their tender concern for a terrorist sympathizer's speech rights defies belief. Good riddance to Mahmoud Khalil.
AM 560, The Answer.
Open mic! Open mic Friday! Call it now! Open mic Friday!
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Yes, it's that time of the week. Open Mic Friday. Taking your calls, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Your comments, concerns, compliments, criticisms, general crack pottery. We'll take it all. When general crack pottery, perhaps a particular emphasis this week with the JFK files being released. But before we get to your calls, we start with David Kolsak, founder of turnkey.pro. As we do, David.
How did you know I was going to talk about the JFK files?
Oh, boy, right.
He just had an inkling.
Yeah.
Yep.
As soon as they were released, I'm like, I'm looking forward to Open Mic Friday. Yeah, that's right.
Well, these are some of the greatest days in sports right now if you like college hoops. So, go
Exactly.
Boilers. And they better
Congratulations, you escaped High Point.
They're going to need it.
Yeah.
We did. Well, we escaped them, and they covered, so I'm okay with that.
They
But
did not
anyway,
cover.
They did. There was 8 points.
Yeah, and they lost by 12.
So they did.
Oh.
Yeah,
no,
Purdue covered.
Purdue
No,
covered.
Yeah, well, you know who I had in that game then. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I
What
did.
who do they play today now? They play...
They don't play anybody
They
today.
play
It goes to
tomorrow.
Saturday.
They play McNeese, who upset Clemson.
Yes, and that's going to be a tough game.
I like our chance.
No.
So anyway, about these JFK files, I've been interested in them as there were so many predictions that would be produced. There's a whole bunch of people who say that Trump is controlled, and that group is in a bit of a pickle as Tulsi Gabbard gave everyone the files without redactions as promised. They claim that Trump would redact everything, so he didn't. So what does that say? The biggest takeaway from the JFK files is that the intelligence agencies around the world have shown a lot of interest in killing world leaders, especially ones who oppose corruption and bureaucracy like Trump. So you have to wonder who would be interested in getting rid of him. The Operation Mongoose files in the JFK files show the CIA playbook on how to conduct regime change, and they did this in Cuba in the early 60s. After the Bay of Pigs, the CIA began Operation Mongoose to get Castro out by generating a revolt, and that sounds a lot like Ukraine. If you read through these files, and I encourage you to do so, you'll find that they use the same things that we see today: psychological warfare, manipulation by the media, espionage, economic pressure, targeted control of Cuban politicians, covert activities, even black market activities, and in the documents, and the CIA use of a Navy submarine. These documents state that the CIA have been engaged in regime change for decades. I'm pretty sure that why we're being shown these unredacted documents is so that we can see the parallels with what's happening today. I mean, what evidence do we have to suggest that the CIA ever stopped this kind of behavior? I actually think we're seeing a lot more of this CIA hijinks now that the veil's been lifted, not only literally with these documents, but figuratively in a broader sense, as people are certainly more awake and keen to call them on their actions. The CIA, if the CIA was engaged in regime change then, can we assume they're engaged in regime change now? And some of these documents are pretty disturbing as they state specifically, and I quote, the possibility of producing crop failures by the introduction of biological agents which would appear to be of natural origin. Mr. Bundy, the person who testified, said that he had no worries about any such sabotage which could be clearly made to appear as the result of a Cuban disaffection or a natural disaster, but that we must avoid external activities such as the release of chemicals, etc., unless they could be totally covered up. So if they're willing to do this, what else are they willing to do? What if they could control the weather? What if they could create firestorms? Other parts of these JFK files outline the CIA plan to penetrate all radio and television in every country of interest to combat the influence of the Soviet Union and China. This playbook sure sounds familiar to all of us who just lived through the last 8 years and watched how USAID and the Soros Media Network controlled almost all media across the world so they could conduct a regime change in Ukraine. seems as if USAID is the CIA. So to be clear, the CIA is engaged in regime change, biological warfare, psychological warfare, media control, and mass propaganda. And Obama made mass propaganda legal. The funny thing is that you're not going to find a document that says, in all caps, the CIA killed JFK. What you're going to find is a huge mountain of evidence that the CIA were engaged in unfathomable criminality. I think Trump wanted to drop these files because of the parallels happening now. I believe he's trying to educate the masses on how the game has been played so they can better understand what's happening in the world today. The JFK files are a detailed outline of the deep state playbook that hasn't changed one bit. So I think there's a method to all this madness and how they will reveal it. It will be necessary information in order for the public to have when it comes to time to reveal who has tried to assassinate Trump, who created COVID, who opened the southern border, who weaponized the media, who conducted regime change in Ukraine. They started with the JFK files for a reason, and they're just getting warmed up. And as Tucker Carlson said, it's not ignorance that makes you a conspiracy nut, it's knowledge. So learn up.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Okay, thanks, David. I don't know. Boy, if I would call myself a conspiracy nut and knowledgeable conspiracy nut, sounds like sort of military intelligence, one of those oxymorons. But yeah, the JFK files are interesting. We discussed them. I mean, it certainly calls into question the CIA's conduct during that period, as well as every period previous and subsequent. And the idea that the CIA has left those bad old pre-church committee days behind them. Well, obviously that has not been true, as we saw during the tenure of John Brennan, for example. All right, let's take some of your calls. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro line. Since March Madness was invoked, Ed in Chicago Heights.
One fine morning, Dan and Amy. A side note, Operation Paperclip and behavior breeds behavior. Then you can look at the results and make your own assessment. But this inquiry is directed to Dan Pro. Now, there's no soul in the whole world who wants to know just what Dan Pro's Final Four picks are, more than I.
Okay. My
Dan
Final
Pro's
Four
picks for the fate of Illinois, Purdue, and Wisconsin, Michigan State as well, please, because Billy Walters is listening.
Well, I've got, some of that will be bound up in my Final Four prediction because I have Michigan State in the Final Four.
Oh.
I have Michigan State taking out Auburn. And you saw a little bit of a sketchy Auburn yesterday against Alabama State.
Bruce Pearl, get him back in shape.
So I've got, and then I think it's the favorites from there. I've got Michigan State, Florida, Duke, and Tennessee actually defeating Houston, and then Florida beats Duke for the championship. Florida's the best team in the tournament. Okay. So I'm trying to think through my bracket. So I have Illinois losing tonight to Xavier.
All right. 8:45 game time, by the way.
And I have Wisconsin actually going. I think I have Wisconsin in the Elite Eight.
Really? Oh, who does Wisconsin play tonight?
Well, they won yesterday.
Oh, that's right, BYU.
Yeah, they play next. They won yesterday. They beat Montana yesterday. Covered. And then who was the other one you mentioned?
Purdue versus McNeese State.
Oh, Purdue's
I got to tell you, I thought Purdue would escape High Point but not cover. Because, we have to talk about the lines, too, for having an intelligent conversation.
Billy Walters is listening.
Yeah, but I think that frenetic McNeese State team that you saw really just dismantle Clemson yesterday, it was something to witness. Yeah, I don't like Purdue's matchup. I just don't think Purdue plays good enough defense. And then they're going to Kaufman-Wren is not going to have his way with McNeese State the way that he did with High Point. I mean, Purdue escaped that game yesterday almost solely based on offensive rebounding, and they're just not going to be able to do that against McNeese State. So I don't like Purdue's chances, I got to tell you.
I think that's a very good assessment. How do you feel about the Crown replacing the NIT? Because the NIT costs teams to play, and the Crown pays them.
Yeah, I mean, I just, although those secondary tournaments, it's sort of like asking me about the Live Tour. I mean, I just can't get interested.
But the NIT used to be bigger than the
Thanks,
NCAA.
Ed.
Remember back in the day?
Well, yeah, Midway used to be bigger than O'Hare too, and then it wasn't. Times
You used to
changed.
be able to park at Midway and just walk right in. It was so easy back then.
Yeah, you could park.
I mean, seriously, same with Detroit
White
Metro.
Zone.
You could literally park on the street right in front of the airport and walk in.
All right,
Bada bing, bada boom.
since we're doing arts and entertainment here, this Hubie and the Janitors band that we've now just recently heard of that you were allegedly a part of.
I was a janitorette. So Kim Hubert was the lead singer, and the guitar players, drummers, they were janitors at our school over the summer. They waxed the floor and cleaned the windows and all. So they became Hubie and the Janitors, and we were the janitorettes. We were backup vocals, but sometimes we'd have solo spots.
So wait, was this at the high school level?
It was 1988, Dan, right after.
So you were the girls in the band were groupies of the janitors at school? Do I have that right?
Yeah, kind of. Sure. Yeah. Well, we all hung out, so
You hung out with the janitors.
And then we became the janitorettes. I'm not kidding.
And how many of the Hershey High School girls married janitors?
None of us did.
Yeah, exactly.
No. But they were great guys. Come on, we're from hardworking Mount Prospect. But we had gigs. We had a gig in Berwyn. We had a gig in Stone Park. The biggest gig was at the Prospect Heights Summer Fest.
Where did you play in Stone Park? Which strip
I
joint?
can't. I wish I could remember, Dan.
Were you old enough to play strip joints back then?
I wasn't playing a strip joint.
You said Stone Park.
Well, they have other things besides strip joints in Stone
Do they?
Park.
Back then in '88?
Maybe.
I'm sure you killed it on that Mannheim Road corridor. Okay. All right. Well, let's hear something.
Oh, no. I don't. I mean, honest, this is bad. All right, so somebody put this on YouTube. All right, here. It's Walk Like an Egyptian.
One-way train, take that train to Finland as it crosses the floor. They've got the blues. We saw me drink that.
Is that you?
Yes. This is the crowd loves it. You have to see the video, though. I mean, we got the silver belt, silver earrings.
I saw the video.
Eye hair. I mean.
Yeah. Susanna
Tan.
Hoffs was not in danger of losing her job. That's for sure.
Stop it.
Good grief.
I don't know if we should tweet that out. It's kind
I want to see. Yeah, you should tweet it out because the intro to your Walk Like an Egyptian rendition with that guy introducing the band members is pretty entertaining.
Yeah, he's good.
Which one of the janitors did you date?
I didn't date any of them, but I think Keith, as in most men from Mount Prospect, had a crush on Kim Carnatz.
Kim Carnatz?
Kim Carnatz was...
She was the
cat's meow.
Yeah.
Everywhere. I went to Hershey with her. I went to elementary school, junior high, college. Everyone's like, how you doing? How's Kim? I'm like, I'm fine, thanks.
The Queen Bee, huh?
Yeah,
Kim, what was her name?
Kim Carnatz.
Kim Carnatz.
Yeah.
Where is she now?
She's doing very well for herself. She has 4 boys. She's great. She's doing well.
And you still feel like you live in her shadow?
Sometimes. Yeah. Every time I go back to Iowa and I run into somebody, and this is a true story, I'll be like, how are you? How's Kim? I'm like, I'm fine, thanks. How are you? It's my standard answer. It's actually fun now. I have fun with it, so.
Dawn in Naperville.
Maybe you can meet her someday.
No, I'd love to. Yeah,
Hi.
sure.
Hi, good morning. I just wanted to say good morning. And if the people are looking for resources, if you have children with Down syndrome, I have some resources. Ashley Barlow, she's an attorney out of Kentucky, or maybe it's Ohio, but she's got a great podcast The Peanut Butter Falcon is a really good movie.
Oh, I love
That's a
that
great movie.
Yeah, and I just want to say, though, there's a big difference between, watching a movie and what you live in life. And I just want to honor Gigi's Playhouse mom and the courage that it takes to go up and speak. And I just want to say, you know what, that's where faith really counts the most, because God reminds us that we're fearfully and wonderfully made. But the other thing is, too, is that he gives you courage. Because no matter what the world puts on you or what diagnosis you have, always remember but God. Because God can take whatever miserable situation the world wants to say that, the situation is, and God can turn it around for the good. So you wake up and there's lots of joy when you have faith. That's all I wanted to say.
Well said, Dawn. Thank you for that. And, this is Nancy Gianni, mom of Gigi, founder of Gigi's Playhouse, testifying or speaking to this UN panel after her daughter did yesterday. We played earlier in the program.
I think what I'm most proud of is that 21 years later, Gigi still operates like an entrepreneurial startup. We are a $37 million not-for-profit that gives everything away for free. Every consultant said it couldn't be done, but we're doing it every day. Thank you, God.
That's a God thing, she said. Yeah, incredible. Bob, Buffalo Grove.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Always good talking to you. Regarding DOE, let's flash back 45 years. Let's even go back farther. Let's say 100 years. How were schools performing without DOE? Seems to me the students were doing a lot better even without the DOE. And
without Department of Education. Yeah, without Department of Education and without DIE too. DOE and DIE.
DOE.
Yeah.
And Amy knows that I'm a CPS grad, and so was her father. And just for your information, both my parents back in the 30s were CPS graduates. So what happened to CPS? Again, we go back 50, 75 years. I think the students coming out of CPS were doing a lot better than they are now. I think you broached this subject years ago, but maybe you need to refresh us.
Well, I think the CTU destroyed them. I mean, they used to have reasonable leaders in charge of the Chicago Teachers Union, but then they got greedy, and then they became woke, and now they're militant.
When was there a reasonable head of the CTU?
Well, the one before Karen Lewis. I can't remember the person's name. Oh, my
God. Who's that? D. Sharon Grant, who went to prison?
She was very reasonable.
Yeah. She wasn't focused on, the left-wing politics. She was focused on her own personal graft.
Okay,
that's what we need.
Wrong.
We need somebody focused on just stealing as much as they can steal, not on all the political things. Yeah. Okay. David in Lansing.
I like David.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I'm going to ask a question and attempt to answer it myself. I watch a lot of MSNBC because I have to. I go to a relative's house that's really annoying, and they won't change the channel, but Joe Biden is never in the news, even in their news. So my answer, why isn't he in the news? And the answer is all the crimes that he committed while in office. They're trying to cover it up. And that's the only thing I can come to, because there's no mentions. I'm telling you, I watch a lot of this stuff. And what is your answer? Why isn't Joe Biden in the news ever anymore?
Because his party wants to forget him.
Yeah.
That's why.
They didn't want to forget Barack Obama because he was still in the news. He's still in the news. But Biden went bye-bye.
Less and less so.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of people trying to pump up the Michelle Obama podcast either. Ron in Sycamore.
Hi, Dan and Amy. Dan, I want to let you know that I started my company, Boodle. I mentioned it before on the air, and we do financial literacy courses. And when I go on the website to help those citizens over there, I get nowhere. And I found out that everybody and their sister has a 501c3 nonprofit. And I think the money comes from Kimberly Lightford. She funnels money to these organizations, and they report back to her that they're stopping crime or they're educating the kids, and they're not. And one other thing, Amy, I used to follow you on Twitter. I started with about a handful of followers, and I accumulated 40,000. My account was hacked about a month ago
Oh, it's the
by
worst.
somebody from Nigeria, and they're using my account to solicit crypto buyers. So I'm going to restart my account, but I got no help from Twitter or X.
Oh, I was almost going to fly to San Francisco. I was so out of my mind. Somebody told me there's nobody there that can't help you. And mine was a cryptocurrency thing too. And I mean, it's just, I had 15 years of tweets, meaning, and then I had some personal stuff on there too with pictures of like Peyton and Eli. You know, Eli scoring his first touchdown, and I can't get those pictures back, and it's so frustrating. But get the blue mark, and what's your handle again? I'll follow you again. What are you?
I haven't started it just yet, but I'll text you and I'll let you know what it is.
Okay, I'm sorry that happened.
Very disappointed in X.
Yeah,
Thanks
me
for
too.
the call, Ron.
Horribly disappointed.
15 years of tweets bought from Amy. Boy, those were going to go to the National Archives, too.
You know what? I was going to write a
loss
book.
for the country.
Like
Yeah.
Rahm Emanuel's tweets, Amy J's tweets, okay?
Oh, man.
Hey, there were some pretty good. I used to get, like, when I interviewed Mayor Lightfoot, I had 1.5 million views on that.
No, back in the day.
Back in the day, whatever.
Yeah.
And Pritzker and all that racket. That, Oh, you gosh. When he used to roll his eyes and shake like,
Eduardo, Tampa Bay.
Debit card you have searched?
Yeah, good morning, Dan and Amy. Well, I wanted to comment before I send a message out to the Minister of Ireland. Next week, they're going to do a caravan for the anti-Maduro, and they're going to march towards Congress. So kind of denouncing his talk about those detainees over there in El Salvador. But Minister of Ireland, do you have room for those planes since Heathrow Airport is closed? Do you have room in your airports over there to land those planes?
Thanks for the call, Eduardo. I mean, I'm sure Conor McGregor would make room, but since you teed him up, I guess we have no choice. The Prime Minister out of Ogden Dunes, Indiana.
Oh, you pair, how the heck are you? You ethnophobic scholar and intellectual. I thank that man for asking me the question of do we have space in Heathrow. We don't, you know. We've got too many migrants as it is over in Ireland, I'm sad to say, and now with Rosie O'Donnell. But the other night, I'm out driving at night on the North Shore, and you know what I saw? A deer field in the headlights.
Oh, boy. Here we
Oh, boy. All right. Okay.
The whole town. You guys made it famous. And I'm listening to your show all the time, and I also hear that Drive Time song from Elmwood Park, who you invented, perspicacious prof. But I'm going to confess I like your show better. And now I don't mean to denigrate Sean's listeners. And for those of you Sean listeners, denigrate means to insult or disparage. But
All right, that's pretty
on
good.
a serious note, perspicacious prof, do you agree with H.L. Mencken's quip that an election is just an advanced auction of stolen goods?
Yes, I do. Yes. I'm a little partial to Ambrose Bierce myself, but H.L. Mencken is right up there.
Dictionary?
Yeah, the Devil's Dictionary, that's right.
What does he say?
What's a great Ambrose?
A masquerade of principles?
Yeah, no,
Politician is a...
Oh no! What's the one I'm thinking of? He's an election. His definition of an election. I'm thinking of where you're on it with the masquerading of principles. It's a
fighting of interest, pretending to be.
Yeah, that's it. Yes. Very good, Prime Minister. Boy, you're a more learned man than I had anticipated. Very good.
Erudite, don't you know? All us Irish are. Now
well.
O'Donnell have become one.
Thanks for the call, PM. Perry and Niles, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. You were talking about oxymorons, military intelligence, and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think Amy could maybe take a crack at this one. What do you get when you cross an elephant with a shrimp?
elephant
Amy?
with a shrimp?
Yeah,
I don't know.
an all-you-can-eat elephant.
See, I mean, that's just not funny. It's such a bad dad joke.
Okay. All right.
But thank you for the effort. I appreciate you, I think.
Man.
Putting me on the spot like that. You wouldn't have guessed that.
No, I hadn't heard that one before.
Yeah, because
but, you know,
it's not funny.
I don't have the, you know, the big book of Swedish jokes or whatever it is that Perry's pulling from. Joe in Arlington Heights. Our poet laureate to elevate the discourse
thank
here. Our
you.
poet laureate, Chicago Morning Answers, poet laureate Joe from Arlington Heights.
Good morning. You did such a great job covering things this week, and 4 particular items inspired me to jot down just a quick poem of optimism because Trump's fighting on our side. Reviving the brand. To uncover waste, fraud, and abuse, the far-left zealots have no use. Instead, inflicting their petulant ire, scrawling hate and lighting fires. While anti-Semites invade college life, infecting America with crime and strife, gutless administrators afraid to stand on the principles that made this land. Marxist teachers now command there's no difference woman from man. Making innocent girls undress in front of boys makes no sense. Murders and rapists roam our boulevards. Deporting criminals shouldn't be this hard. But those of us not on evil side, wake up. There's no place to hide. Thankfully, one man claimed his place, inspired by the gift of God's protecting grace. Bullets and lawfare were unleashed, but our leaders' courage would not cease. All Republicans must now take a stand, revive the God, family, country brand. Let's all do our part by standing strong. Then victory will grasp before too long.
All right. Very good as always. That's why he's our poet laureate. Thank you, Joe. Mac in Indiana.
Hey, how you guys doing this morning?
Good.
Doing my best to bring up the state again after the prime minister came through there. Thank God he mentioned the word denigrate and explained it for us, because he should have hung up right there. Anyway, Amy, I'll see you on Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
You're still hosting that thing over at the Halls of St. George,
The
right?
hostess with the mostest. Come on now.
2-drink minimum.
Fantastic.
What are we wearing?
Pardon me?
I said, what are you wearing to the event?
Oh, I think I'll be wearing a sport coat and a tie or something like that.
That sounds good.
Something decent. I'll say hi to you for sure, though.
Please.
You may regret it, but that's how things sometimes go.
All right.
Oh, and real quick, if you want tickets, LakeCountyRepublicanParty.com. There's
Yeah,
That's Lake County,
quick.
Indiana.
Yes,
by
Lake
the way.
County,
Lake County,
Indiana, yes.
Indiana. Right.
Yeah, and by the way, Amy, do not bring anybody to stay here in the state. Unless you people from Illinois want to move here, move to Gary. We got a lot of room there. Other than that,
No, I have Republican friends moving to your area. Don't
well,
worry.
you can move here.
Well, thank you.
Dan can move here.
Well, Dan, did you hear that? You can move to Indiana.
Yeah.
But the rest of you people in Illinois, stay the hell out. We don't want any of you, okay?
Thanks. Very friendly, Mac. Thanks for that. Appreciate that.
I think you should work at the Welcoming Center in Hammond, Indiana, right there.
I understand, though. I understand the.
Oh, I do too. Like in Utah, there's signs everywhere. Don't California my Utah.
Yeah, I get the distaste. It's understandable. Kevin, Austin, Texas.
So, especially on today's Down Syndrome Awareness Day, conservative dads that have a child with special needs need to fight the lie that Trump trying to dismantle the Department of Education is going to affect special needs education funding. I can't stand it as, you know, I have a daughter with Down syndrome, that the Democrats exploit children with special needs and their families for political gain. It's an absolute lie, and it's got to be stopped. So, anyhow, I hope you guys are wearing some crazy socks today.
Very good. Thanks for the call, Kevin. And to Kevin's point, this is what Trump said on the occasion of signing that executive order.
If you look at the Pell Grants, it's supposed to be a very good program, Title I funding and resources for children with special disabilities and special needs. They're going to be preserved in full.
Right. As we talked about with Rick Hess at the American Enterprise Institute a couple weeks ago, you don't need massive bureaucracies to provide funding through the government to the states and localities for things that actually, interestingly, promote choice, right? I mean, that the monies are actually attached to individual students, Pell Grants and IDEA funds and so forth. But anyway, so that the hysteria the leftists are trying to create around that issue is just as Kevin described. Paul in Effingham.
Yeah, how you doing? I'm actually from Deerfield. There is a small group of fathers, Eastern European fathers in Deerfield. We have kids in the schools over here, and there's small amount of us, but we are really upset about what's happening in the schools. And trust me, that something's gonna be done, but by some of us, because that's not what we signed up when we got here, and we support local government and stuff like that with our taxes, high taxes, and send the kids what we thought are good schools. So, sooner or later, some of those teachers, unfortunately, going to have to move. So that's what I want to say.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that, Paul, because Mom Georges, who stood up for her 13-year-old daughter at that meeting that has now spawned this international story, could use as many of the reinforcements as possible. And I think people would like to see dads getting involved. By the way, the recording of the administrators is a real thing. And I'll tell you what, in addition to trying to compel the 13-year-old girls to change in front of a boy in the locker room under threat of disciplinary action, there's an exchange as well where one of the administrators threatens a 13-year-old girl with disciplinary action because she was misgendering the boy identifying as a girl, calling him by the pronoun he or him. And she's, that's against to misgender someone is against student policy. So you can do that if you want, but understand there'll be consequences. I mean, this is how lost Deerfield, as so many of these schools are. So, yeah, it'd be nice to see some dads engaging. Steve, Orland Park.
Good morning. We'd like to know why Biden and Harris are not charged with treason for but prosecuted and imprisoned for their felonious act of opening the borders. Please fill us in on that. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Steve. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a policy decision, sovereign immunity. Certainly it's there are impeachable offenses that could potentially be prosecuted. I mean, you could put together a whole litany of them. I mean, flouting a Supreme Court decision with respect to student loan socialization, too. You could put together, not to mention the influence peddling operation for personal enrichment at the expense of U.S. national security. There's a litany of charges that could be filed, but under the auspices of an impeachment after the fact. That has been done before, as we know, but it's not going to happen. People want to move on, and Trump's on the clock and looking prospectively, which is probably the right play. George in Naperville.
Yes, Biden will again reappear for the opening of the Obama Library.
If there is such an opening. Thanks for the call, George.
The concrete keeps cracking. There's not going to be an opening anytime soon.
Yeah. Well, they're also going to need some
billion more dollars.
Yeah, I'm sure Illinois taxpayer dollars drop shipped to that project to keep that white elephant going.
It's just so ugly, too.
How ironic would that be if the Obama land turned into a white elephant? Chuck in Delavan. Close it out.
Hey, shout out to Mike over at 5 Star Painting. He's taking care of Dr. Michael for me. Hey, tonight I'm going to Pirates Cove.
What does that mean?
I'm going to dance. When I get done at Pirates Cove for the fish fry, I'm going dancing at Pier 290. I found a girl that's going to go dancing with me, and then we're going out tomorrow night to Abbey. And I'm thinking by Sunday I'll be dancing to the horizontal bop with her by Friday. By
Chuck,
Sunday at my farmhouse.
Something's got to be sacred.
Chuck has learned to love again after the breakup. I'm happy to hear that. The horizontal bop.
You guys have a great weekend.
Wow.
Wow. Dan,
Thanks.
that's hashtag horizontal bop. Maybe that could be the name of your new band.
Wasn't that the hit song of Hubie and the Janitors?
Oh, all right, thanks for making us part of your morning and part of your lives. Have a fun weekend, I guess. Chuck, thanks to Justin and Quinn. Have a wonderful day. It is now 9 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Elon Musk's the Pentagon.